you can catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan scratch it. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. What you know about classic music?
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another Retro Wrestling Review series. Look at this, Chris. We're actually going to do this. We're actually going to do everything we said we were going to do this week. That doesn't really happen very often anymore. So this
never happens.
This is nice. But yeah, I'm Owen Finch and I'm here with...
Chris. Hey, look at that. We've actually stuck to our schedule and
yeah.
We said we weren't going to do anything on Thursday. We didn't do anything on Thursday, but we did a video Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and now it's Saturday.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what did we do Wednesday? But it's that. Let's. I still have to edit that because again, the game editing Let's Plays is a lot harder than editing the retros. Yeah. So. But, today's retro is your pick. I kind of themed these retros, the first couple, kind of show, since it's 10 years that we've known each other and 10 years of the Massasoit Wrestling Corner and everything like that. Shows like we've either reviewed together or watched together. I kind of pressed you on this one because I have to still make you a list of every show we've reviewed and watched together. And I've done one of those lists, but the other one, because shows we've reviewed so many shows, I would have to go through and watch every Massasoit Wrestling Corner and things like that. But today's retro is you already saw it in the intro, but I'll just say it again, is Royal Rumble 2020. This is kind of an interesting one because I think it's kind of funny because the last video, a lot of that retro was kind of us talking about how they set a lot of things up for that Rumble and then media changed because the old man got impatient and everything like that. He gave away all that stuff. We kind of alluded to it the last retro. This video was kind of the opposite of that, where a lot of things got set up and a lot of it had to get changed, not because of the old man, but because of a worldwide pandemic that would happen a month later, I think. Or maybe a couple months later. I don't remember exactly.
So this is January?
Yeah.
The pandemic happened, I want to say in March.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't think it was February, because I remember Revolution was the last wrestling show we watched together, and that was in March, I think. And then Elimination Chamber happened, and I think that Friday was pretty much when the pandemic happened, pretty much. So
yeah, stuff was starting to happen before that, but I think it was February.
I think that's crazy. We'll talk about it later. The pandemic had actually been around. We just didn't really, because a lot of people you hear talk nowadays, they've talked about did I actually have COVID then when I was sick? Because obviously no one knew what COVID was and everything like that.
It was officially March 11th.
Okay.
It became a pandemic.
Yeah. I think so. No, because I remember. I have it Oh, okay.
The World Health Organization classified it as March 11th.
Okay. So I guess we would, because I was saying we had people come over for my birthday and things like that, and it was the last big thing we did with family before the world shut down. So we might have just did it. We might have. I think everyone just squeezed it in. I remember that time though we didn't wear masks.
Well, no one seriously.
Yeah, I remember we weren't wearing masks, but we didn't hug or anything like that. We did the elbow thing where you tap elbows and type of thing.
That's basically what everyone did then.
Yeah,
everyone was sick at that point.
Right, but yeah, kind of going through this. We'll talk about that at the end of the video because we're not at the pandemic yet. We still got a couple months from that. What made you pick this retro? That's kind of I kind of pressed you to pick this retro because I kept staring at you until you picked one. But what made you pick Royal Rumble 2020 of all things?
I don't know. It was I really liked the show. It was at the when we watched it, it was kind of a sad time. In the sports world, because the legendary Kobe Bryant had just died literally that day in a plane crash. So that was weighing heavy on everyone's mind. So it was a very weird day. But like the pay per view, itself was very good.
Yes. Yeah, I remember the pay per view being very good. It's probably it's probably the last great Rumble I think Vince books. Because 2021 I guess was very good, but again I don't really think anyone really remembers that because that's still Thunderdome era. And 2022 was really bad, and then he's out of the booking process for the most part. 2022 was so bad he fired Shane McMahon for that type of thing. That's how bad the 2022 Rumble was.
Fired his own son.
Yeah. I remember too, James and I did like a rundown and stuff that day. Everyone was blaming Shane for that. And we're like, wait a minute, who's the one that's calling the shots at the end of the day type of thing? It's not, we can't place all the blame on Shane there type of thing. So,
You really couldn't. But at the same time, it was like, it definitely, because he delegated the rumbles and the matches and stuff to other people.
Yes.
Stuff.
But I remember, I think the IWC and stuff were really like coming down at Shane. But I think James and I had to be like, who's the one that, has the final call at the end of the day type of thing? It's Vince.
He does, but he also approved it too. Also, so.
That's what I'm saying. Vince approved
it. He approved it and then fired his own son.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Shane hasn't been back since, but no, he was at WrestleMania 39.
Then he fucking tore his quad.
I forgot. Hey, they forgot. They wanted us to forget about him after that match happened. So,
hey, Shane's dead in the ring. Let's bring out Snoop Dogg.
And pretend it was Snoop in the match all along, not Shane. So that's probably like the best worst match I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, kind of going through 2020. This was kind of an interesting time in wrestling. Wrestling was kind of on the thumbs up. WWE was doing relatively okay. They had just gotten their Fox deal not long before this. They had it, but they just premiered on Fox in the fall.
Yeah, it was like a
SmackDown was kind of a shit show at this time. Everybody thought that SmackDown, going to Fox, was going to be like a shift in the product. And honestly, I think it was because that was early days when Roman Reigns and King Corbin were feuding over dog food. The only good thing on SmackDown at that time was everything with the Fiend. And even that people couldn't get excited about because they fucked over the Fiend, at Hell in a Cell, and the interest was still there, but not like it was when the Fiend first started. And then, a couple weeks later, interest of the Fiend is gonna really fade until the Firefly Funhouse match because he gets squashed by Goldberg in a couple weeks. So that's fun. But Raw was doing really well at this time. This is when Paul Heyman became the head creator of Monday Night Raw, the head writer for that, and Raw had massively improved at this time. It was a battle though, just because obviously Heyman and Vince couldn't really agree on the same things. I think Heyman tried to get over 3 guys, and Vince fucked him over. There's one guy though that Heyman pushed for that finally got through in this show, which we'll talk about, and then. NXT had debuted on USA Network and was going head to head with AEW Dynamite, and this was the started stages of the Wednesday Night Wars. And I really, that was a really good time to be a wrestling fan on Wednesdays. Which is kind of funny. I was about to say on Wednesdays, but they're still on Wednesday. But that was a really good time because obviously we had 2 wrestling shows to watch, and they were both really good at the time. I think a lot of people obviously liked AEW better because it was a newer product and everything like that. But NXT, I thought was really well done. I think NXT took the bullet too, just because they were only on there just so Vince could counteract AEW, and no one wanted to watch NXT because of that. But there were some weeks I enjoyed NXT more than AEW. I know it doesn't really, with hindsight, it sounds like we're just being AEW haters there. But some weeks I enjoyed AEW more, some weeks I enjoyed NXT more. NXT was doing really well. It was still toward a top period before the pandemic hit and everything like that. They had all their hot stars there and everything like that.
The Undisputed Era was just about out at this point. And they were just about to appear on AEW TV.
And then, and then NXT UK was doing relatively fine. it was this was probably the last hot stage of NXT UK. They were, Walter was still in his UK title reign, and that was doing pretty well at this time. The biggest thing we lost out on, obviously, was they had just had their UK Takeover Blackpool show, and that did really well. And they were gonna break up. They were gonna do NXT Takeover Dublin, and it looked like Finn Balor was gonna go there, but then that never happened because the pandemic hit. So NXT UK was doing really well at this time. Not as well as the other shows, because it was kind of, not a lot of people had a lot of interest in it. But it was still doing really well at this time. So WWE was kind of doing pretty well. The only thing that really sucked was SmackDown, but that was it. But they were still doing pretty well in obviously the attendance figures had fallen in 2019, but I think they were kind of getting back the good graces a little bit and everything like that. Vince, obviously, and I think at this time Vince wasn't really around as much because he had started the XFL, and I think he was kind of putting his responsibilities more towards that than WWE, and it looked like maybe Vince is going to do that instead of doing both things, but that would change in a couple months. And then. But outside of WWE, the wrestling business was pretty much booming at this time. AEW had just started up in 2019, and they were doing really well at this time. I'm pretty sure in the early 2020, up until the pandemic, AEW had banner shows at this time, critically acclaimed shows. They would it was probably the best up until Triple H's takeover. This was probably the best stretch of wrestling week to week shows we had seen in a long time from AEW's point of view. And AEW was just doing really well at this time. They had a lot of really good storylines, a lot of really good characters at this time, and they were doing really I mean, obviously the ratings haven't changed, but they were doing well for them in the ratings at this time because, the ratings that they have now, having them back then was a big deal because a lot of people had showed that they were watching wrestling and had interest of it outside of WWE and everything like that. But it wasn't just AEW that was booming. Impact Wrestling had gotten back on its feet, from their dying days, as I talked about in 2016. Scott D'Amore and Don Callis put a lot of effort in to kind of save that promotion. And they succeeded. They just debuted on Access TV the same week, I think, that AEW debuted on Dynamite. I'm sorry, not AEW. I just said AEW debuted on Dynamite. And AEW debuted on TNT. They were doing really well at this time, the only thing that they did get some negative press, obviously, because I think this is around the same time they put the belt on Tessa Blanchard, and obviously all that stuff came out about Tessa Blanchard at that time. But other than that, everything was doing relatively well, and Impact was doing really well at this time. Believe it or not, we can actually say this, NWA was doing really well at this time. They had just started Power, and the Billy Corgan era was really working. They had finally got some foot in, and they had a lot of really good characters that WWE and AEW ended up kind of poaching during the pandemic because Billy Corgan was an idiot and decided, hey, if you guys want to go to these other promotions, you can, and it fucked them over at the end of the day. And obviously the pandemic and everything like that. But, yeah, NWA was doing really well at this time. They had just started Power, and they were doing a couple pay-per-views. I'm pretty sure Hard Times had just happened. They were doing really well at this time. It was kind of a different product than what we were seeing because they were in the studio-based form and everything like that. New Japan, even though it was kind of taking a hit because they had lost a lot of their top stars, they were still doing pretty well at this time with their Wrestle Kingdom shows and everything like that. AAA was doing relatively okay at this time. Wrestling wasn't really in a boom period, but outside of WWE, if you had other things to watch, it was pretty much booming. WWE was doing relatively fine too, so this was kind of that stage where there was always something for wrestling fans to watch, because Fight TV was taking over. I mean, it had taken over for a while, but this is kind of you always had an option for wrestling to watch and everything like that. It reminded me though too. Do you remember? Because we're talking about it. Do you remember Impact almost lost their Twitch deal because of the RVD segment that he did backstage, and so Impact almost lost their Twitch deal. That was pretty funny. But yeah, what do you kind of think about the state of wrestling at this time and everything like that? Because it was doing pretty well.
Yeah, everything. There was someone there was something for everyone. AEW was, on a high still, and the NWA was too. It had been revived in a big way. I know we were still watching it, and it was very good. It was very, very good. WWE was kind of in a weird place.
Yes.
Just all over the place, as it usually was with Vince. Just all over the place.
Yeah.
No real direction. Everything gets changed every 40 seconds. New Japan was still thriving big time with their foreign talent too. Their gaijins, the American wrestlers that were there still. But yeah, it was wrestling was still
This is
moving. Every company, Impact too was also on the rise.
I feel like too. This was New Japan's like last big year probably because obviously the pandemic hit and I don't think they ever recovered from it and everything like that. So they kind of did, huh?
They lost a bunch of talent.
Yeah, and then like they couldn't have it. They had to create. I don't know if you remember. They had to create like New Japan USA or like New Japan Strong because a lot of the talent like for in America was stuck in America. Then they couldn't get over to like Japan, so they had to do like New Japan Strong. One thing I forgot to say is ROH because that's the only company that was kind of in an interesting place at this time because ROH nearly went out of business. Like the first time and this time because All In stole all their talent, and I'm pretty sure I don't remember the exact story. I'm pretty sure that All In, I remember killed it somehow because a lot of the talent weren't getting paid well enough from ROH after this, and a lot of them went to Impact or AEW or WWE following All In, the first one. And then, a lot of the talent was just being stolen. But it looked like there was going to be like a moment where they were going to do relatively well because Marty Scurll had just re-signed with ROH and he was going to be like the head booker and everything like that. And they had a couple shows around this time. I'm pretty sure after this Free Enterprise happens. And other shows, but obviously nothing came of it because obviously the pandemic hit. And then we all just talk about the pandemic. Yeah, the Speak It Out movement, and that caused Marty Scurll to get fired from ROH. So ROH, I think, kind of went back to ROH was about to get saved, I think, the first time, and then obviously the Speak It Out movement and the pandemic killed it even more, type of thing. And then I think pretty sure 2021 was kind of the last. I mean, even though ROH is still around, this was the last kind of stretch of ROH being like its own company and everything like that. So, but yeah, let's kind of talk about, this actual show itself. This show took place on January 26, 2020. It took place in Houston, Texas. It took place in Minute Maid Park. I don't think, let me double check this. I'm pretty sure, okay, so that was in a baseball stadium. All right, so this is the second year that they started doing the Royal Rumbles in the baseball stadium. Because usually they did the football stadiums, but they started doing the Rumbles in the baseball stadiums. I'm pretty sure that's still happening because last year's was. I don't know. Is this year in a baseball stadium? The 2025. Is that going to be in a baseball?
I know it's at Lucas Oil Stadium, I believe. That's a football stadium.
Okay. So, this was a couple years where they were starting to do the wrestling shows in the baseball stadium. And I personally like the fact that the Rumble was always in a baseball stadium because the show looked different. And this is at the time, like we talked about in the 2017 video, where, it made the show feel different. And the arenas were big, so it made the show feel big. And wrestling just kind of looks cool in a baseball stadium. And I feel like this time, this was probably the best they've used that environment because obviously one of the matches on this show, they fought all around the stadium and everything like that. So I liked. What did you think of wrestling in the baseball stadium? I personally thought it was good.
I loved it.
In
the Roman Reigns match against Corbin, they used the entirety.
Yeah, they did pretty much.
The stand, it made it look massive.
Yeah. Then, the attendance for this show was 42,715 people. which was pretty cool for them. And then going through all of our on-air personnel talent and everything like that. Kind of talk about that. We had the English commentators. We had for the SmackDown matches, it was Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and for the Raw matches, it was Tom Phillips and Jerry the King Lawler. This is kind of when SmackDown switched to a two-man booth for a while. Well, pretty much all in the entirety of SmackDown. Ever since I think Raw had it finally switched to a two-man booth, but for a while it was a three-man booth. And I'm pretty sure this was the end of Vic Joseph on the Raw side of things doing play-by-play. I don't know I think he's talked about this before, but obviously something happened behind the scenes where he got taken off commentary, but I don't remember exactly what it was. So they switched him out with Tom Phillips, and Jerry the King Lawler was brought back because I'm pretty sure, if I remember, it was Vic Joseph and Dio Madden was on commentary, and Jerry the King Lawler was kind of there was kind of there for the experience of doing commentary. To kind of...
And then Joe joined them after that.
Yeah, and then the Joe was back wrestling, so he was taken off. I'm pretty sure that's why Raw only had 2 people for this show, because Joe was back wrestling. And I'm pretty sure I remember the Raw commentary team changes the next night to, like, Byron Saxton joins with them. But I'm pretty sure this is, like, right before they make that change. Overall, the commentary I thought was pretty good for this show. I liked Graves and Cole, and I liked Phillips and Jerry the King Lawler. I think we talked about this in the last video. Because Lawler had been around for a little bit, he was more in tune of what was going on storyline-wise. On the Raw side of things, anyways. On the SmackDown side of things, he had no clue what was going on. Like, Otis shows up later. He was on SmackDown. He had no clue who Otis was. That was pretty funny. So how'd you feel about the commentary for this show?
I thought it was good.
But yeah, we had other commentators. We had the Spanish commentators. It was Carlos Cabrera and Marcelo Rodriguez. We had the German commentary team. It was Carsten Schafter, Tim Halber, and Calvin Kenny. Calvin Kiney. I don't know how you say his last name. Could be neither of those. You never know. But then we had the Japanese commentary team was where is it? Sean Yamaguchi and Funaki. I think I got it right this time because I got it wrong completely last time. The Russian commentary team was Marty Margalone and Zon Podosuf. I don't know how to say his last name. And then the Chinese team was Man Yai and Sean Dean. And then the Portuguese team was Marco Alfaro and Roberto Figueroa. So there you go.
Thank God thank God they didn't show the entire commentary team of everyone.
Oh, they did this time actually. And then they added some this time that wasn't in the that wasn't there at the 2017 one. The Indian team, because they had to still try to do their Indian expansion, was Obad Kawani and Shaz Saudo. The French team was Ray Rougeau and Jean Boisard. I don't know how to say his last name. It's always kind of cool to see that Ray Rougeau was still around, because we would never know it until they would show all the commentators. So that's pretty cool that he was always still around.
Yeah, it was always cool to see like Ray Rougeau and like Funaki.
Yeah. We've done career retrospectives, I'm pretty sure, on all these people before. Especially, you could just watch the last video. I think Ray Rougeau is the only one at the moment that's like not around. He might be there, but again, we don't know because they don't do the thing. I'm glad they don't do this anymore, where they show every commentator anymore. I'm pretty sure they just do it remotely now, so that's the main reason they don't. So
the Ray Rougeau hasn't been doing it since 2021.
Okay, so he's been gone for a while. So,
right when they moved to Peacock, I think that's when they basically, I guess, disbanded besides like the English language and the Spanish language. I think they all just do it remotely or just don't do it at all.
Well, like if they go internationally now, that's the only time they're in the arena. Like when they went to Germany, I'm pretty sure they had the German commentary team. Like
they had the German. Yeah. That makes sense. If you go to that country, like, yeah.
Yeah. But your referees was Danilo and Fabo, Jason Ayers, Sean Bennett, Jessica Carr, John Cohn, Dan Angler, Derek Moore, Eddie Oregano, Daryl Sharma, Chris Sharp, Ryan Tran, and Ron Zapata. We've done career retrospectives on all these people before. Some we can't even do them anyways because you can't look them up because they don't have a Wikipedia page. So
I think I believe all of those referees are still there.
Yeah. I remember one of them leaves later on because of like vaccination stuff, but I'm pretty sure that he's not on this list. The backstage interviewers were Caleb Braxton and Sarah Schreiber. Caleb Braxton did really good, and Sarah Schreiber didn't do good. I feel like we've talked about this before. We're not really big fans of Sarah Schreiber when she does interviews. I think she's gotten better now since she was back in 2020, and then Caleb Braxton we always have been pretty huge fans of. The only new thing is Caleb Braxton's left WWE. She left last year in June, and she's doing like her own like horror movie type of podcast now, and doing some movie roles now and everything like that. And then Sarah Schreiber is still there. She does like the ring announcement for the live events and the backstage interview and then ring announcement for NXT because Kelly Kincaid is... She's kind of filling Kelly... I mean, she still does it anyways, but she's kind of taking her role until she comes back from pregnancy. If she comes back. So... and then... yeah, that's it. So we can just get right into the show now. I did watch the Bump episode before this, which was pretty cool. This is when the Bump had just finally started off as a show, and it was a pretty fun show at this time. It's kind of interesting that the Bump lasted as long as it did, because you would have thought that would have gotten canceled because the pandemic hit, but they just did it remotely. So this was kind of fun because this was still them doing it. Them all together and everything like that. They definitely had more fun with it then. This kind of became like Caleb Braxton's show type of thing. And other people that were there, you had Evan T. Mack, who's not there anymore. You had Matt Camp, who got released last year, and he's done some stuff with AEW, and he does a lot of podcasts.
I was like a little bit on online.
Yep, I was about to say that. And then... Ryan Popola, I'm pretty sure, is still there. I haven't really heard much about him, but I'm pretty sure he's still there. He just kind of works behind the scenes, mainly. Mackenzie Mitchell was there. She's obviously got released 2023, and she's been started and doing like her own jewelry business type of thing. And she's done some work with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and there's another wrestling promotion that like started. I think it's the last match. I don't remember the name of the promotion, but she was doing that for a while. And then Kathy Kelly was there. This is interesting because this is right before she leaves the first time and then comes back. I kind of felt bad for her because she left like right before the pandemic, so everything that she probably wanted to do, she couldn't even end up doing because everything shut down pretty much. And then when Triple H took over, that's like one of like the first hires he made, hiring her back pretty much, and she's been back ever since. And then I think that's everybody that that Bump episode was really fun. So definitely check that out. And then we had the preview show where Kathy Kelly and Mike Rome kind of like did some talking and talked about previewed the show. They brought on Johnny Gargano, and he was pretty funny here. He was putting over the Rumble. He was putting over Worlds Collide because that had happened the night before, and he talked about how his favorite Rumble moments, the 1996 Rumble, and he mentioned like he had a thing happen where he tore his finger off or something. He had to like take this medication. And if he didn't take the medication, he couldn't watch the Rumble. And he like took it like right before the show happened. It was actually really funny. Charlotte Flair was supposed to be on that preview show, but she wasn't because she was too focused on winning the Rumble. So I guess maybe it's a good thing that happened because she, if she went to this preview show, maybe she wouldn't have won the Women's Rumble that night. So it's
she would have been focused.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing though, because Johnny Gargano was like in the arena and stuff, but he didn't go in the Rumble. But that was probably to the benefit of the match because he probably would have been one of the people that got eliminated really quickly by Brock. So maybe that's to his benefit. It's just kind of weird though because he was on the watch-along and everything like that, and they hyped up that watch-along I didn't want to watch the watch-along, which Chris is mad at me about because I had all this stuff to watch and I didn't watch anything of it. But the biggest thing that came out of that watch-along was, and I didn't even realize it at the time. It was Todd Pettingale's first WWE show he did, and obviously this is kind of significant because he's been back a few times now. Because he came back for In Your House later that year, and then he came back again for another In Your House show. And I think the last time we saw him was 2021. I don't think he's done the other In Your House shows. I'm pretty sure. He might have done them and I just don't remember, but I don't think he's been there. He might have done cold opens or something like that. So, going to the actual show itself, now we have the pre-show. A lot going on here on the pre-show. We had the panel of Christian, Jonathan Coachman, Charlie Caruso, and David Otunga. This was an okay panel. Nothing really. No one really said anything significant. You kind of watching this back, you could kind of tell Christian's out the door pretty soon because he wasn't signed really to WWE at this time. He was signed to Fox, and you can kind of tell here because what he says is more off the wall wild than what the other people say. This was kind of at that stage where the people that were on Fox contracts would obviously have more creative freedom of what they could say. So it was kind of weird. It was a weird time because obviously this is when Punk comes back the first time, and you could definitely tell he comes back with a vengeance and everything like that. So. And then they had hosts for the show. Well, not just panel, but hosts. And the hosts for that were Booker T, Sam Roberts, and Renee Young. They were kind of there as an advert for Backstage because that had started on Fox, which gets canceled not long after this because of the pandemic. This was weird because Booker T was the only one out of the two that was kind of pro WWE, but he was really funny here. Just saying a lot of off the wall things, and the two panels kept taking shots at each other. The actual panel would call them the B team, and then the host would call them the A team. Booker T got wicked offended, by the way. It's calling me the B team. What are you calling me the B team for? I've been in, and then he got wicked offended Sam Roberts at one point because Booker T was trying to talk about his Rumble experience, and Sam Roberts was like, yeah, you have to actually win a Rumble, and I've won the same amount of Rumbles that you have, and Booker T's you ever been in the win? It was really Booker T got wicked offended on this show. It was really funny actually. So continuing though, we had some stuff happen on the kickoff. Natalia got interviewed on the panel, and she talked about how she wants to win the Royal Rumble, and if she wins the Rumble, she's gonna face Bayley because she's never faced Bayley one-on-one. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't true, but whatever. I'm pretty sure this is kind of at that stage where Vince wouldn't acknowledge NXT, so I'm pretty sure they had a one-on-one match in NXT, and Vince was just yeah, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about?
It didn't happen, actually. According to Vince, it didn't happen.
Yeah. And then Bayley got interviewed, and she talked about how she's going to destroy Lacey Evans and embarrass her in front of her daughter. These interviews were relatively fine. I didn't really like the Bayley one too much because then it reminded me I was going to have to watch that crappy Lacey Evans match again. But whatever. What do you think of these interviews right here? I thought overall they were a thumbs in the middle.
Yeah, they're interviews. They happen.
Then we had the first match on the kickoff. It was Sheamus versus Shorty G.
Yeah, let's go Shorty G.
Yeah. Sheamus had just come back to WWE. This was right after, he had to go have, neck fusion surgery and stuff, and it was even questionable if he was going to come back at all. And he came back to the look that he has now and everything like that, and he wanted to rid SmackDown of all the things that were, embarrassing on it and everything like that. So he went after Shorty G because he thought he was, a disgrace to SmackDown and everything like that. So he, started attacking him and everything like that, and Shorty G wanted to prove that he could be a part of the shows and everything like that. This is when Vince... This was kind of a big thing that would happen with Vince a lot, where the wrestling dirt sheets would report that Vince is going to make this change, and then it would never happen, so we would think, okay, maybe he's not making the change, and then he'd just make the change, after the reports would, stop. So, Shorty G was kind of a big example of that. It was, reported for, months. He was going to become Shorty G, and it never happened, and then we're oh, maybe Shorty G isn't going to become Shorty G. Well, he did become Shorty G. Vince waited. Vince would always, wait till the reports would, stop, and then just do it anyways. It was actually kind of weird. I don't know if you remember too. 2020 was at that stage where like you would like hear reports that Vince is high on this guy backstage, and then nothing would ever happen with that person. It was really funny. But we had this match here. Do you remember what Shorty G's attire looked like? It was like the shorts and like it was really bad. I wonder if at this time it was pitched that the Revival were gonna do like those that tag gimmick type of thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Shorty G.
It might have been around that time.
Sheamus dominates the beginning portions of this matchup. He destroys Shorty G throughout much of it. He throws him into the barricade, throws him into the steps. Shorty G tries to get some offense going. He starts to target the leg of Sheamus. Eventually, Sheamus hits the 10 beats of the Babwin while he's on the apron, and then he does it like while he's on the floor to Shorty G. That was pretty cool. Shorty G hits the rolling chaos theory, but Sheamus kicks out of it. He goes for a moonsault, and Sheamus tries to turn it into a power slam, but because he doesn't have the leverage, Shorty G is able to turn it into a tilt-a-will DDT. Shorty G gets him into the ankle lock a few times, but Sheamus is able to fight out of it. And then eventually, Sheamus hits Shorty G with the bro kick, and Sheamus wins the match. Overall, I thought this was a good match. I thought this was a nice back and forth match. I give it 3 stars. Sheamus winning made sense because this was his first match like back in the company, and it seemed like they were trying to build him up for something. I don't exactly know what they had planned for Sheamus, because obviously after this show, I'm pretty sure Sheamus' career kind of takes a stall because I think he was meant to do something else, but then the pandemic hit and he didn't really do anything with him. So overall, what'd you think of this match here and everything like that?
I thought it was fine. This was like Chad Gable, like in a very weird phase in his career that he fucking hated. And you could tell. He just did not. He just everything. He was like his expressions on his face, and you could just tell he fucking hated every minute of it.
And going through some quick career retrospectives, we've done these two before, but to update them, obviously Shorty G wouldn't keep the Shorty G gimmick. He would go back to the Chad Gable name, and he's been a part of a few factions. He was part of Alpha Academy, which was pretty successful, and now he's part of American Made, which is kind of successful, but they job a lot. And Chad Gable just re-signed his contract. He's there for the long haul. And Sheamus, would kind of go on to have like a career renaissance during this run. Not immediately, but kind of, he would have that really good feud with Drew later on. He formed the Brawling Brutes, which was not very good in the Vince era. But then once Triple H took over, it like really picked up steam and everything like that. And he turned face and started having those Beta matches with Gunther and everything like that. And then, now he just re-signed his contract. I think he's there through his 50s, so it looks like he's going to finish his career in WWE, and that's pretty awesome for Sheamus, so good stuff. Then we had the next match. It was a United States Championship match. United States Champion Andrade with Zelina Vega inside versus Humberto Carrillo. The reason for this match was Andrade took out Humberto Carrillo. I don't remember when exactly, but he took him out like last month. I'm pretty sure Carrillo had like an injury or something, so they had to write him off TV. So he like did like a DDT like onto the exposed floor, so he was gone. He had and then he had just come back on the Go Home episode of Raw, so this was kind of a way for him to get revenge. Very good match right here. Kind of two luchadors going at it and everything like that. Carrillo gets the advantage early. He hits a really cool, hip attack from the top rope, very luchador style. He hits a spin dive to the outside. Andrade begins to dominate. He starts to target the neck and shoulder of Carrillo. And Carrillo mounts a comeback. He hits a really good springboard-like moonsault from the top turnbuckle. He hits Andrade with the Spanish Fly and a tilt-a-will TDT. Andrade hits the double knees to the face, and also a power bomb from the second turnbuckle. But eventually, they both exchange roll-ups on each other, and eventually Andrade is able to hit a roll-up onto Carrillo, and he gets the win and retains the United States Championship. I thought this match was very good. I thought this was a very good back-and-forth match. I give it 3 3/4 stars. Overall, what did you think of this match right here?
I thought it was a pretty good match. Again, like, Carrillo was very, like, used at this point, and they were building him up like as the next best like cruiserweight wrestler in WWE. Another one of those in the long list of this could potentially replace Rey Mysterio guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the match was very good. They Humberto and Andrade always had really good chemistry, and they had a lot of really like good matches together. So yeah, I give it 3 stars. It's a really good match.
And I think I'm gonna because I have my star ratings when we reviewed this show the first time, so I'm gonna read what they were the first time and then the updated ones. For the Sheamus Shorty G match, I gave that 3 1/4. I don't know why I bumped it down to like 3, but I ended up.
It was a 4-star match.
No, I said 3 1/4 the first time.
Yeah.
But I gave it 3, and then for this match, the U.S. title match, I gave that 3 originally, and then I bumped it up to 3 3/4. So there you go. Only nowhere else to go but up, I guess, from there. So there you go.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you were. It's your like updated opinion on it too.
Yeah. And then. Obviously the career retrospectives. Carrillo, ever since this show, he was kind of one of those, I think, guys that Heyman tried to get over, but Vince lost interest in him. It
was him and Andrade were one of like a handful.
Yeah. And Carrillo, after this, kind of fell down the card pretty drastically. And then he started teaming up with his cousin, Angel Garza. And then they did like the Los Lotharios gimmick. But it didn't really work out on the main roster, so they went to NXT, and it looked like Shawn was going to break them up. And I think they would have broken up had they not got called back up to the main roster, because it looked like it was going that direction. And then they're now with Legado del Fantasma, and they're having a pretty good run right now. I think they just turned face recently, so that's pretty cool for them. And Andrade, obviously, left WWE. This was kind of the end of his first run, when he would start to kind of get less happy there and everything like that. He went to AEW, tried his luck there, and his role never changed in AEW. He's pretty much in the same role there. He would get into a feud. It would last too long, and he would just lose that feud. And then he just wanted to leave AEW, and he finally did last year, and he returned at the Rumble last year, actually, and he's had a really good run ever since he's been there. He's had like really good best of 7 series with Carmelo Hayes, and right now he's kind of just having a really good run. And Zelina Vega, has left and come back, and now she's part of the LWO with like Rey Mysterio and everything like that, and she's having a pretty good face run. I know a lot of people have wanted them to put back Andrade and Zelina Vega together. Kind of watching the show back, I'm kind of glad they've kind of stayed their separate ways, because I don't really think they need each other anymore now that Triple H does like the video package promos with all his international wrestlers, so there's no real need for Zelina to do that, and I think Zelina is mainly an in-ring competitor. Would you like to ever see these two kind of come back together, or do you think they're kind of fine doing their own thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
But yeah, continuing with this, doing this, they kind of cut to the host where Booker T, Renee Young, and Sam Roberts kind of have breaking down the show, and R-Truth shows up. And R-Truth was about to go down to the Rumble. He thought the Royal Rumble match was right then. But they had to tell him that it's the women's Royal Rumble match that's like first, and he can't be in the women's Royal Rumble match. And R-Truth just didn't get it. R-Truth just didn't.
God damn it, why not?
R-Truth just didn't understand like why he couldn't be in it. I do think this is funny because he tried to do this last year and that didn't work. So this is pretty funny that they brought that joke back. And they were trying to tell R-Truth too that like. R-Truth thought like they were in the Rumble, so they didn't understand like why they were just standing there type of thing. It's like, well, are you guys supposed to be in the Royal Rumble match? And they're like, well, the Rumble's not till later tonight. It's like the main event. So R-Truth was just gonna go wait it out, I guess.
I guess so.
But they had to tell him that, like, he actually isn't even in the Rumble. He undeclared himself in the Rumble because Brock's in the match. And R-Truth was just like, that was never, like, made official. It's all, like, I don't think, he tried to say speculation, but he said specification instead, like, like, a completely different word than speculation, but that's what he, like, tried to say. And then he said, that I don't want to be taken to Sioux Falls City instead of Suplex City. And the best part about this was Booker T, anytime, like, kept egging R-Truth on to just keep talking. And, like, R-Truth would just keep getting stuff wrong. Like, he talked about, R-Truth talked about, like, how he supported his childhood hero, John Cena. And Booker T was like, wait, how could he be a childhood hero? Because it doesn't really match up with the ages and everything like that. And then Sam Roberts was like, how did you watch Cena as a child? And R-Truth was just like, I watched him on television. And Booker T was just like, he got you there. And Sam was like, wait, how does he have me there? That still doesn't make sense. Like, because he watched him on television. Like, Booker T, you could tell, was just having a riot with this. So, like, R-Truth just going back and forth with him and everything like that. And eventually R-Truth just had enough. And I think the host had enough. So, like, okay, let's just cut away from this. Go back to the B-team panel. And R-Truth, like, kept talking, too, like, when it cut away and everything like that, dude. Like, this was awesome. Like, R-Truth was awesome here. What'd you think of this? This is kind of awesome, but you kind of feel bad for R-Truth because he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. Like, the poor guy just wanted to enter into the fucking Women's Royal Rumble. Just let him do it.
Well, I don't know if you remember too. This was right after him and Brock had that segment where, like, didn't R-Truth and Heyman have, like, a bet whether or not, like, he could break Brock to, like, laugh, and R-Truth won the bet? Like, this is right after that happened and everything like that too.
Yeah.
So this is yeah, poor guy just wanted to be in the Rumble, but he undeclared himself. I don't know. I think he thought Heyman was in the Rumble too, doing this segment, and he had to be told that that's not the case. He's not in the Rumble. So yeah, poor guy. You know, just wanted to be in the Rumble when he can't be in the Rumble. Like, poor guy. I think too, he thought Law was that night too. He didn't even know what date it was. Like, this poor guy. Like, you know. And then Charlotte Flair got interviewed, which I don't know why that happened. I thought she was trying to focus on the Women's Rumble, but I guess she just has time for an interview. And she talked about, like, how she lost focus last year, and her not winning the 2019 Rumble ate at her. So she's going to put all her focus into the winning this Rumble. And then Kofi Kingston got interviewed, and he talked about how maybe Kofi Mania could happen again, and you know, he says that he's gonna win the Royal Rumble, and then Dolph Ziggler broke down his strategy and talked about how he's gonna win the Royal Rumble and form a bunch of alliances and everything like that. What do you think of all these interviews? I thought they were relatively fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Nothing too crazy.
That's the end of the pre-show. I thought the kickoff was good. They should have added another match on it. I remember we talked about this at the time, because I don't know if you remember, like, after the Andrade Carrillo match, it just kind of felt like they were just killing time. They kept talking about the same things that they were talking about, like, before and everything like that, like repeated stuff. So there was no need for this kickoff to, like, go as long as it did. What do you think of it? What do you think of the kickoff?
I thought it was fine. You know, some good matches on it.
And yeah, going through career retrospectives for the people on the kickoff. Christian, not long after this, you know, the next year, returned to the ring, and then he's been in AEW ever since then, and he thinks he's people's dads now, so it's good for him, I guess. And just having kind of a weird run in AEW. Some of it's been great, but other of it, lately it's just been like, why is he being pushed? Like, retire type of thing, because it's just not good. And then Jonathan Coachman has his own podcast now, where he talks about the product, and he's pretty fair towards it. But the funniest thing lately is, I think you've talked about this before, that he, like, owned Samantha Irvin on social media, like, right after she left type of thing, which was pretty funny. And then Charlie Caruso, we've talked about the last video, and David Otunga, we talked about the last video. So, and then Booker T, we talked about before. Sam Roberts now works for WWE. I think he does Raw Talk and everything like that, but we don't know if Raw Talk's still going to be a show afterwards. But he's still signed and everything like that, so he does, like, the panels for the most part and stuff. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him now. And then Renee Young, we've talked about the last video. So, Then going through the actual show itself, we had the intro video. It sort of cold open where Stone Cold Steve Austin talked about like how he won the Royal Rumble because he had the drive and the hunger to win the Royal Rumble. And he said that everyone has to have that same drive and hunger. But it's not just about, you know, the Rumble. It's about other stuff that happens, like the other matches on the show. And it kind of talked about all the other matches. This was really cool, you know, kind of awesome to have Stone Cold Steve Austin do this. What'd you think of this? I like this cold open.
It's a good cold. It's a very good cold open.
Then we had the first match. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. It was Roman Reigns versus Kid Corbin. Really bad feud going into this. This was, you know, believe it or not, this is like one of the last feuds Roman Reigns has before the Tribal Chief. Just think about that. Like, just think about what Roman Reigns was doing before the Tribal Chief happens. King Corbin and Roman Reigns came to SmackDown, and Roman Reigns got sick and tired of King Corbin thinking he was kin. They had that infamously bad segment where Roman Reigns got handcuffed and had dog food dumped on him and everything like that, which was really bad. And then, you know, they had that match at TLC where Kid Corbin beat Roman Reigns, and that's actually pretty significant now because obviously, you know, that was Roman Reigns' last pinfall loss until like Money in the Bank 2023, like even in a tag match or anything. So that's pretty significant. And Roman Reigns wanted to put an end to this once and for all. This is when the Usos returned after being gone for a while. I'm pretty sure they were dealing with like legal issues. I don't think they were dealing with injuries at the time.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was legal. It was legal issues too.
But this is kind of that's significant too because this is when they started saying the Bloodline name and everything like that. So that's kind of significant because obviously that's the biggest faction in all of wrestling at the moment. Well, even though it's not the same Bloodline that's in that faction nowadays, but you get the point. And
a good one.
Sure. I mean, if you want to say that.
It's the good one. The one with the real Tribal Chief.
He is the real Tribal Chief now. And then, you know, they kind of aided Roman Reigns because this is when Corbin had the numbers game where he brought on Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Were they known as the Dirty Dogs yet, or did that name come later? I'm pretty sure that name wasn't really a thing yet. So,
yeah, I think it was a little bit later.
And then they had a match, and Roman Reigns, you know, faced Robert Roode in a tables match where whoever won got to pick the stipulation, and Roman Reigns did, and he picked a Falls Count Anywhere match. Yeah, this feud was, before we talk about the match, this feud was really lame going into it, and as soon as it was one of those feuds that just would never end. It was one of those feuds that Vince, you know, kept pounding down our throats, which, you know, we just talked about how someone else is doing that nowadays. So, what do you think of this feud kind of going into it? I thought this feud was really lame.
Yeah, it was not very good. I will say that. Not good.
It was also like the first big storyline that was taking place, like when SmackDown moved to Fox, and this was kind of like not a storyline, you know, because it was reported that SmackDown going to Fox was going to give it like that sports feel to it, and this feel, didn't they have that infamously bad segment too, where like someone dressed up like a big dog and like they did like Roman Reigns' like theme song, like with dogs barking in the background? I'm pretty sure that was like that.
Horrible.
That was like that period of time I wasn't watching like anything from the main roster like at all because and I was only watching like NXT and things like that. So and segments like that, like, you know, confirmed, which is kind of weird because I'm going through the. I always say nowadays with AEW, it's what WWE was like in 2019 because that's how I feel about AEW nowadays. Is I won't watch a thing at all from AEW. The only thing in WWE I was watching, I think, was all the NXT stuff and everything like that. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think I had just come back by this point from like a hiatus. I think I took like all the fall off pretty much. So. I was watching the main roster stuff again. Mainly Raw, because SmackDown I could have cared less about. The only thing I really watched on SmackDown, I think, was like the Fiend stuff. And that was really it. Everything on SmackDown was pretty bad at this time. And surprisingly, Chris, I wasn't watching any main event, so that's surprising.
Yeah, that is, because you were obsessed with that show.
And that show's never gonna die, Chris. I think when Level Up got canceled, I think you were thinking, yes, main event's gonna get canceled, and it's still going. It's that show.
Could have been.
I think main event's gonna be the show for you that's never gonna die. Like it's gonna outlive you. I think. So
It is.
but yeah, going through this match was I thought some great stuff. Roman Reigns, King Corbin this is when he had his entrance where like he would have like goons like carry him on a throne to the ring and stuff like that. This is when they gave him a really bad theme. They like meshed his like lone wolf, not the lone wolf, the best theme that he had, the last theme that CFOs produced, and it like they looped it like with like the kin thing. It was really bad at this time. Yeah, Roman Reigns attacked his goons, and like him and Corbin started brawling. Roman Reigns threw Corbin into the barricade. He clotheslined him over the barricade. Corbin got some offense in. He had a really nice deep six onto Roman Reigns. And they fought through the crowd. They fought over to the international broadcast area, and they ended up fighting back. Corbin hit 2 choke slams onto the announcer's table, one on the German that didn't break, and then one in the Spanish, one right through the Spanish announcer's table. And Corbin got a near fall both times. Then they fought to the broadcast booth again. And Roman Reigns hit 2 Samoan drops onto Corbin. And then they fought, like, over to the dugout, which was kind of cool because you could see, like, the grass, like, of the dugout because they hadn't, like, fully set up that arena. So it was kind of cool. And this was a trap. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler attacked Roman Reigns, and during this, the Usos run out to make the save, which I guess Roman Reigns had that plan because the Usos were like there in a second, like they were in that area like within a second. So that's good. And later on, he become the tribal chief, so this makes sense that Roman Reigns would have to be one step ahead of King Corbin, and the Usos and Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler go at it. They start attacking the Usos. This is kind of when the Usos changed up their look. This is when Jay started had cut his hair short, and Jimmy's. I don't think his hair was as long yet, but Jimmy had longer hair than Jay's. So I don't think you could completely tell them apart yet. That would come later. But
Jay started to do the hairstyle that he has now.
Yeah. So.
And Jimmy kind of kept it long, but. You could start to kind of tell them apart because they're the same tattoos. But you could start to tell them apart now a little bit.
Yeah. And then, Dolph Ziggler hit Jay in the back with a trash can lid. And they were about to put, Jay through, one of the guardrails inside. But, which Michael Cole called a platform, by the way. He couldn't even call it a guardrail. It's a platform, not a guardrail. So, and then Jimmy Uso hit a dive off of the barricade onto everybody. And doing all of this, Ken Corbin hit a back suplex, sending Jay right onto the guardrail. And then Roman Reigns and Ken Corbin continued to fight. Roman puts Ken Corbin into a porta potty, which Michael Cole also called a platform. I guess it's not a porta potty. It's a platform, not a porta potty. So
a platform potty.
Yeah, and Roman Reigns. Wheeled over and tipped over because they were on the side. I think they were still in the dugout area, and he tipped it over off a platform that was there. There was kind of a little bit anticlimactic because when Corbin comes out, he wasn't covered in coloring or anything like that. He was just fine. So it seems like this was something that Vince thought was funny, and it didn't really land. So and then they continue to fight over by the dugout. Corbin starts to lay out Reigns with a chair. He goes for the end of days, but Reigns counters it. And then he hits a spear onto the not the outfield, but what's the name of the place that they call where the batters is it the dugout? Where they go.
He hit on top of the dugout.
Yeah. And Roman Reigns spears Corbin on top of it. This looks cool, but I thought he was gonna go through it, which I thought would have been better. But he hit on top of it, and then Roman Reigns got the pin and won. I like this match a lot, though. I think this is a great match. The fact that they use their environment, because the things I don't like about Falls Count Anywhere matches is they never really do the Falls Count Anywhere stip. They'll typically just stick to the ringside area. So I like the fact that they actually used like the whole baseball stadium, and I like the stuff they did with the Usos and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode and everything like that. So I give this match like 4 stars. At the time, I gave this match 3.5 stars, probably because I was sick of seeing this feud, so I was like, okay, I would be nice and give it 3.5, but coming back to it, I'm going to give it 4 stars, because I'm not seeing the feud week to week now. So what'd you think of this match overall, and everything like that?
I give it 4 stars. I think we were all sick of this feud because it's been going on so long.
Right.
That it was getting really bad. And we just done with that. I think that was the end of it too.
No, it wasn't. I was about to get there, but nope, they continued it. They had that match on like SmackDown where like they got revenge on Corbin and did the dog food segment, and everyone thought that was going to be it, but then they dragged it out to Super Showdown and had like that weird cage match, and that was the end of the feud type of thing. So no, it was, they kept this feud kept going. This should have been it, but they kept going.
Yeah, I forgot. I thought that was before. No, but that was after.
No, it was after. But yeah, continue your thoughts on this match.
Yeah, it's a very good match. I like it a lot. It was one of Reigns' last match as the big dog.
Yep.
Because he would disappear for quite a while, and come back as the tribal chief.
And not just disappear, by the way, like almost he was contemplating retiring. That's how much,
He was about to retire.
I don't know if James and I have speculated. I think mainly James, and I used to think it was like, him being like anti-WWE, that he speculated like Roman Reigns threatened to quit WWE. And if he didn't like change his character, boy, how James ended up being right on that one, because that's Reigns was gonna retire. I mean, not because of like his book, some of his booking, but also because of the pandemic and stuff. Huh?
He was just done.
Yeah, so it's interesting that how that like Roman Reigns nearly did retire type of thing. So. Because the wrestling business would look so different nowadays, I think, if Reigns didn't retire, type of thing. But yeah, obviously, like you said, you kind of went through Reigns' career retrospectives, and then Corbin. I feel bad for Corbin because he was just being shafted and shackled with like bad gimmick after bad gimmick and bad feud after bad feud. I'm pretty sure after this, he goes on to have that terrible feud with like Elias. I don't know if you remember where like he threw him off like that like perch in like the performance center or whatever, and like they've tried to make it seem like Elias like died or something. He was like back the next week, and then he had like a terrible feud with Riddle about like Riddle not wrestling in shoes. That was pretty bad. And then he had like a bad feud with like Ray and Dom and stuff. And then he had broke ass Coleman gimmick, which was awesome. I liked that a lot. And then Vince ended that randomly for no reason. Which was which is just what Vince did, and he became Happy Corbin. And then he had Madcap Moss, and that was pretty bad. And then he partnered up with JBL, and that was pretty bad. And then his NXT run with the Wolf Dogs and stuff was like his career resurgence. That's when people kind of finally started giving him the credit. And I think what's awesome about that, I think why a lot of people gain respect for him is because like he didn't even have to do that run. He even said like he could have just stayed on the main roster, making all that money. But like Corbin wanted to better himself and everything like that, and get his passion back. And I think that's like that NXT one. I think is what gave him that goodwill with like fans. That's why it sucks now that he got released, I think, because that's like what that's when like he had finally got his career going, and it'll be interesting to see what he does outside. After his release, he might not even come back to wrestling and do other things. The biggest thing I want to see him do is go to TNA, because I think he could do some really good stuff in TNA. But yeah, overall, how do you feel about Baron Corbin / Because you haven't really been able to talk about his career path since this match has happened.
He did a lot of good in NXT. The team with Baron Braun Breaker.
Yeah, Baron Strowman. That's a name.
Baron Strowman is who it is. It's the Baron Strowman. But no, the team of Braun Breaker was excellent. I felt like they made it. It was about to go catastrophically wrong had they kept him as a heel. They like him coming into NXT as a heel kind of was stupid because they had that nice little thing where he was like immediately when he came out defending like Von Wagner, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like the disingenuous like heel thing, and it was stupid. I fucking hated it because I felt like this dude needed to turn face for like 10 years, and they refused to do it. And they finally did it, and it was great. And then they went back out to the main roster separately. Another mistake. And then he was lumped into a random tag team with Apollo Crews and let his contract expire. Yeah. And was backstage at AEW recently.
Yeah, I hope that's not where he goes, because he'll get lost in the shuffle very quickly. I think if he goes to AEW.
Also, I find it so funny that the same people who said he sucked and was terrible and was awful and should get fired are the same people now who were crying that they didn't renew his contract.
Well, I'm kind of one of those people, but that's mainly because of his NXT one. His NXT one ended up being so good.
Yeah, I've seen so many people who were anti-Corbin and wanted him fired. I didn't. I thought he was still pretty talented and was a really good heel. Now all of a sudden people liked him.
Yeah.
And they didn't want him to be released. I'm like, these are the same people that want him fired.
Again, I'll admit
it was terrible. It couldn't work.
I'll admit I was one of those people for a long time, but once the NXT one happened, I think that's like what turned me around on him.
Yeah, his NXT run turned a lot of people in favor of him, but like they acted like they were his fans the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'll admit like his NXT, maybe a little before his NXT one because he started producing like the goods. Also, too, his attitude backstage, I remember, was never great until his NXT one. I think his NXT one humbled him a little bit, too, type of thing. And I think I watched the After the Bell podcast he did with Corey Graves, and that really took me a liking to him and everything like that type of thing. So, yeah, continuing, we had some backstage segments. Kevin Owens was backstage, and Samoa Joe comes up to him, and they wanted to. This is kind of like when they started forming that faction with them, and I'm pretty sure like the Viking Raiders joined it. Big Show was a part of it at one point, and this is kind of like them trying to take down Seth Rollins. And they said they're going to do that. They're going to work together. And then Samoa Joe says, but... And Kevin Owens... This is kind of when Owens... He was probably the best then because he felt real. And Kevin Owens talks about how, you want to... You want me to stay out of your way? And Samoa Joe was just like... Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And this segment was weird because I don't know if you remember this. They cut to the next segment, but Kevin Owens was still like talking in this segment, so like you still heard him talking. I think that's definitely like you could definitely watch. That's when Kevin Dunn really started slipping in production because he ended the segment like abruptly and cut to the next thing, which was really weird. And then the next segment was Fire and Desire getting interviewed, and this is kind of like when they were setting up that storyline with Otis and Mandy, that relationship storyline. And Mandy talked about how she looks forward to winning the Royal Rumble, and Sonya Deville says though that they're going to work together, and she's going to eliminate herself from the Rumble to help Mandy win. And Mandy didn't really know what to think of that type of thing. I like these backstage segments. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that like they ended so abruptly, like the Kevin Owens one, and just cut to this one. Like I felt like Kevin Dunn kind of didn't know that segment was going to end. Again, you could really watch this show and really, I think 2020 is when Kevin Dunn started slipping even more at his production and everything like that. Like the Women's Rumble match is really bad because he cuts and misses a lot of entrances and everything like that. So, and he's gonna miss a pretty big one in the 2020 Royal Rumble match. So, what did you think overall of these segments right here?
I liked them.
There you go. And then the Kobe Bryant update, you kind of talked about that already. Was this like, I think he had passed, but was it like confirmed by this point? They talked about in the show that he had passed, or like did they just like not? Because because they did it in the middle of the show, they didn't really do it in the beginning type of thing. Anything you want to say about this before you move on?
No.
Okay. And then we had the next match. It was the Women's Royal Rumble match. The commentary for this match was Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, and Jerry the Ken Lawler, which is kind of funny because it's always funny to hear Lawler commentate like a women's match in the present, because obviously in the Attitude Era he was unfiltered at that time, and obviously nowadays with how the state of women's wrestling changed, it's just always funny. The one funny line that he actually says was just like, I feel like I'm in heaven right now because I get to commentate a Women's Royal Rumble match, and that got taken very out of context because obviously I think it was meant to be like he was trying to make it seem like the Athletics, but I don't think Lawler meant it. I think everyone took it a different way because of how Lawler used to commentate the woman matches type of thing. So going through it, we had the first two. I don't know if you remember this too. I'm kind of glad they made this change from the Women's Rumble because they would always announce the Women's Rumble, but they never had like enough people on the main roster to like fill the slots. I think they only filled like 8 slots, so every Women's Royal Rumble entrant would mainly be a surprise, which is really funny. I'm glad that's changed nowadays. Like I feel like there's enough women nowadays. I think we always talked about this. We like the fact that the women and the men both have a Royal Rumble, but the women's always suffered because they always had to like randomly get surprises. I think the worst offender of that was 2022 because they released everybody, so they had to call back a bunch of people from the women's side of things, especially to fill the 30 slots. Like they couldn't fill the 30 slots with their current talent because they released so many people. How'd you kind of? They did. I remember too, because we speculated that they had to call back Mickie James, and we thought a partnership then was happening with Impact, but Vince didn't even know Mickie was in like TNA and everything like that, and the champion, so like they just kept it that way type of thing. So, but going through the match and everything like that, let me get the results and everything. The first two entrants, number 1 was SmackDown's Alexa Bliss, and number 2 was NXT's Bianca Belair, which is kind of interesting because I forgot Bianca actually was a heel at one point. Because it's kind of funny nowadays because she's like this big baby face now and this big star. This was kind of like Bianca still on the rise and very much in her heel phase at this time. And this is kind of cool too because this was like the breakout year, like this is kind of like the breakout match right here was for Bianca Belair. This was the biggest stage that she'd ever wrestled in front of, I thought it was kind of cool to see Bianca Belair kind of have this big stage. I think I'll do the same thing as the last one. I'll just announce all the entrances first, and we'll just talk about the highlights of the match because it'll take too long. Number 3 was Hall of Famer Mighty Molly. Number 4 was SmackDown's Nikki Cross. Number 5 was Monday Night Raw's Alana. I almost said Alana, but no, it's just Lana. I guess
Alana, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Number
Anal.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I think I did it backwards actually. I don't even know what I did. But number 6 was NXT's Mercedes Martinez. Number 7 was Monday Night Raw's Liv Morgan. Number 8 was SmackDown's Mandy Rose. Number 9 was NXT's Candice LeRae. Number 10 was SmackDown's Sonya Deville. Number 11 was Monday Night Raw's one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Kairi Sane. Number 12 was NXT's Mia Yim. Number 13 was SmackDown's Dana Brooke. She was here. I forgot she was, but she was. Number 14 was SmackDown's Tamina. Number 15 was NXT's Dakota Kai. Number 16 was NXT's Chelsea Green. Number 17 was Monday Night Raw's Charlotte Flair. Number 18 was SmackDown's Naomi. Number 19 was Hall of Famer and NXT's Beth Phoenix. Number 20 was NXT UK's Toni Storm. So this is kind of weird on Wiki. It says number 21 is Hall of Famer Kelly Kelly. But that's wrong because she's not even in the Hall of Fame yet. I think she's supposed to be free agent, but apparently, according to Wikipedia here, Kelly Kelly's in the Hall of Fame. Number 22 was Monday Night Raw's Sarah Logan. Number 23 was Monday Night Raw's Natalia. Number 24 was NXT's Xia Li. Number 25 was Monday Night Raw's Zelina Vega. Number 26 was NXT's Shotzi Blackheart. Number 27 was SmackDown's Carmella. Number 28 was NXT's Tegan Nox. Number 29 was unbranded Santina Marella. And number 30 was NXT's Shayna Baszler. Overall, I liked this Rumble a lot. I thought it was great stuff. Some highlights of the Women's Royal Rumble was obviously the breakout performance of Bianca Belair. She got a lot of eliminations in this Royal Rumble match. And she really went the distance and everything like that. This was kind of her coming out party. In like a wrestling sense and everything like that. Not in the other way. Well, maybe, I don't know. Could have been. She was married to Montez Ford at the time, so I would hope not. In terms, I just want that relationship to be okay. Other things that was pretty significant was they furthered the feud at the time between Liv Morgan and Lana. I don't know if you remember this. This is when like Liv Morgan came back and was like in this weird character phase, and it looked like, speaking of coming out parties, that she had a coming out party because she was like supposed to be like a lesbian with like Lana, and then like they abruptly ended that storyline. And I'm pretty sure that
very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that storyline ended too because Rusev was like on the verge of leaving the company at the time. So I'm pretty sure Rusev stopped showing up after the show altogether. So, that was a thing. He might have shown up one more time and then that was it. So they eliminated each other from the Rumble. I think Liv Morgan eliminated Lana, and then Lana eliminated Liv Morgan because Vince loved doing that trope where like people not in the match would eliminate people in the match, and
he did that all the fucking time.
I don't think we've seen that in the Triple H era all that much, which I'm happy about. I don't mind that rule being in effect, but I think every year you would get a Royal Rumble elimination where someone not in the already eliminated would eliminate somebody. I think he did it every year. NXT looked really strong in this match. Obviously, this was kind of NXT. This is the year that they put all their eggs in the basket with NXT. This is after they won at Survivor Series because obviously they were trying to make NXT look like a third brand since they were the company. They were the brand running up against AEW. So, Mercedes Martinez got a lot of shine. Mia Yim got a lot of shine. Dakota Kai. I don't know if you remember, this was Chelsea Green, like right after she joined the Robert Stone brand, I'm pretty sure. So she got like a quick elimination here type of thing. That was pretty...
Was that before she got injured like 7 times in a row?
This is after like because I don't know if you remember, Chelsea Green abruptly ended the partnership at a weird time because she was supposed to go on the main roster. Didn't for a while, and then she got injured like 7 times. So, Beth Phoenix looked really good in this Rumble. She had this thing where she had like she got cut open in the back of the head, and she wrestled like that for like a while. They reunited the Divas of Doom with Natalia, which was pretty cool. Charlotte Flair looked good in this Rumble. She got a lot of eliminations. Alexa Bliss went the distance too. She didn't get a lot of eliminations, but she looked really strong in this Rumble. They did like a good bit when Nikki Cross had a face-off with Mighty Molly, and Mighty Molly looked really good in this Rumble. Which is really cool. Kelly looked terrible in this Rumble. She didn't really take like that big of a bump, and she hit like a really bad head scissors in the match. And when she got eliminated, a funny thing that happened was Kelly took a punched Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair like went, "You bitch," and like eliminated Kelly. It was really funny. Toni Storm looked good in this Rumble, so that was cool for her. Kind of interesting, because Toni Storm, was meant to be like the big fixture of NXT UK, and this is kind of like where she was very bland in NXT UK, and then I think she was supposed to get caught up to the regular NXT, but then the pandemic hit shortly afterwards, so they had to delay her debut on that brand for a good while. That's kind of like when she was stuck in NXT, I was about to say stuck in NXT UK, but no, just stuck in the UK for a while and couldn't do anything. So that's kind of happened. Shotzi Blackheart looked good in this Rumble. They tried to replicate the elimination spot they did in the Battle Royal in NXT a few weeks before this with Shayna Baszler, but this time it didn't work, so that was pretty cool. One missed opportunity was this was at the time when Tegan and Dakota were in their feud, and they had them enter later entrance in the Rumble. They should have had them have a a brawl or something, because they were supposed to have a match on the Wednesday's episode of NXT, so that was kind of a missed opportunity. And Xia Li showed up, which is kind of significant because this is the only time they ever did anything with Xia Li, really. Is she would just show up in a Rumble and then disappear off NXT television for the rest of the year. So they never. She was just kind of there to be the Chinese representation and everything like that. But then you never see her again. So. That happened. I remember people were pretty critical of Santina's appearance type of thing. I personally wasn't offended by it. I thought it was funny. And I'm pretty sure this is when Santino couldn't take any bumps still. So he had to eliminate himself. So I thought, well, she had to eliminate herself. I personally wasn't offended by the Santino appearance. I thought it was, and plus they did it at a good time because it was when Beth Phoenix was still in the match, and it was in Houston, Texas, where she technically made her debut. So I wasn't that bothered by it. This was Shayna Baszler's main roster call up, so she got a lot of eliminations. I don't think she broke the record at this point, but I'm pretty sure she came close to it. I actually don't even know women's wise who has the record, and it came down to Charlotte Flair and Shayna Baszler, and Charlotte Flair won the Rumble overall. And afterwards she cut a promo saying that, basically tells all the champions to look out and everything like that. I thought this was a great Rumble. I give it 4.25 stars. I thought it had a lot of good moments. One bad thing that happened in the Rumble I forgot to mention was Naomi got eliminated. Well, she didn't get eliminated, but she saved herself from elimination and caught herself on the barricade, and she walked up on the barricade, and she stood on the announce table, and she stands there for, I think, up until Shayna Baszler makes her entrance, so she's there a while. I think she was the number 18th entrance. I'm pretty sure it happens during the 25th entrance, and we don't really know what's going to happen. She's trying to figure out a way to save herself from elimination, and then eventually, finally, she just grabs the top of the announcer's table and just runs up the steps and everything like that, just to immediately anyways get eliminated by Shayna Baszler. And this was really bad because this goes on and this drags out for a long time. I don't know I don't know if this was just them trying to do the Kofi spot. I don't know what was supposed to happen here, but I remember fans were pretty critical of this online, and Naomi clapped back at a lot of people, and this made Naomi look bad social media wise. And this honestly really wasn't great because this dragged on for too long. It took shine away from people in the Rumble match, and then all of this just happened just for her to immediately get tossed out randomly. It was so stupid. And Shayna Baszler not winning over Charlotte Flair was the wrong decision, I think. Had Shayna Baszler won the Rumble, it would have been much better just because, one, it was the first thing she did on the main roster. And I think after this is kind of when Shayna Baszler's main roster career kind of goes downhill, because then they do that terrible segment on Raw where she bites Becky Lynch's neck. They have that terrible Women's Elimination Chamber match. And then she loses at WrestleMania. Now, obviously, we would probably still be having the same conversation had she lost at WrestleMania. It probably still would have gone downhill. But Shayna Baszler really should have won the Rumble. There was no need for Charlotte Flair to win it. I think they just wanted to give Charlotte Flair a Royal Rumble win, and I guess this was the only time Charlotte Flair could have won the Rumble, because then the next year, I'm pretty sure. She was in it, but then she, it wouldn't have mattered anyways because she had to take time off of TV because she got injured. And then 2022, she was in it, but she was also the SmackDown Women's Champion, so that would have been stupid. And then she wasn't in 2023 because she was the champion, and then she was injured this year. But obviously, we could talk about this later. If she returns and wins it this year, then it's was that necessary? I feel like, this is the only time I guess she had an opportunity to win the Rumble. However, I think it was the wrong decision. I think, too, good did come from this because obviously this set up the war, and they ended up, pulling a swerve. Instead of challenging for the Raw and SmackDown's title, she challenged for the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania, which was pretty cool, but that kind of ended up not really working out because then again the pandemic hit, and the big story of the match was, can Rhea you know, head on to the big stage. But then by the time the big stage happened, it was in it was in an empty arena with no fans. And then Charlotte won the NXT title, which kind of halted Rhea's momentum for a while. And Triple H kind of had to save that because you know, when he took over, that's like one of the first matches he booked at WrestleMania, and that got Rhea's career going. So overall, I think Charlotte Flair overall was the wrong decision. I think it should have been Shayna Baszler that won the Rumble. But overall, I still give this Royal Rumble match 4.25 stars. I thought it was a pretty great Rumble. It kind of sucks because you could definitely tell Vince put a lot of his creative power and focus into the men's Rumble, as we're going to talk about. I thought this Royal Rumble match was still great. I just think it's held down a lot by the Naomi thing and the one result. But overall, what did you think of this women's Royal Rumble match?
4.5. It was really good. 4 stars. Yeah, everything about it was really good. I really liked it.
Are you fine with Charlotte winning, or would you have gone a different direction and had Shayna win instead?
It didn't bother me when Charlotte won, but again, if Shayna won, I wouldn't have been upset with it either.
So there you go. Going through quick career retrospectives. We've done Alexa Bliss. We did that the last video. Like I said, Bianca Belair, this was, her first shot at the big stage, and ever since then, it's been pretty much on the rise for Bianca. She would win the Rumble the next year, and she's pretty much been one of the biggest stars for the woman for a long time. Mighty Molly's kind of come back here and there and been in Rumbles and stuff. Nikki Cross, shortly after this would become, Nikki ASH, almost a superhero, that crappy gimmick. And then pretty much that's the one thing Triple H got away from very quickly. He ended that gimmick, and then now she's part of the Wyatt Six and is doing really well in that gimmick. Lana. Afterwards, the storyline with Lashley and Rusev ended because Rusev left. Well, released, but also left. I'm not really sure which one. And then Lana, they did a gimmick with her every week, which she got put through tables and stuff, and then eventually she joined AEW, had a really bad run in AEW, and now she's just kind of chilling and doing her own thing, and might come back if Rusev comes back. Who knows? Mercedes Martinez, I forgot even existed, but she was, I don't know if you remember, she was supposed to be like Retribution as like retaliation or something, but she didn't want to do it, so she's just like, nah, I'm going back down to NXT. And then she got released shortly afterwards, went to AEW, has had a pretty underwhelming run in AEW, and is stuck on the ROH brand, is never going to get off of that. Liv Morgan, we've done, hey, you always said that this one nowadays is a worse one. I could point to this one and be like, they could always go darker. I mean, she achieved a childhood dream and won the SmackDown Women's Championship, something she wanted to win since she was a child. It's good for her. It's great. A big spot I forgot about this Rumble, actually, was, because it's actually pretty significant. Mandy Rose was in this Rumble. They did a thing where, like, because the Otis storyline was going on, where she almost got eliminated, but Otis saved her from elimination. And then when they tried to do it later, Sonya Deville accidentally knocked Otis off and knocked Mandy off, and Otis caught her. And then when Sonya got knocked off, Otis couldn't hold both of them, so he ended up falling. This is kind of like when that storyline was going on, and everyone was really into it at the time, but rightly so. And it kind of sucks because that storyline does culminate, just is in an empty room with total silence. But Mandy after this, she would have a really bad NXT title run and get released for posting OnlyFans content, and is still doing that. She's come back to wrestling a few times. She showed up at one of Chris Van Vliet's shows and did some type of training thing or whatever. I'm not really sure what happened there, and I don't know if that's gonna lead to more wrestling things or what. Candice LeRae, was released and then came back. And then nowadays, she's the first ever Speed Women's Champion and is a pretty decent heel on the main roster. Sonya Deville is part of that crappy Pure Fusion Collective faction, and it just sucks. Kairi Sane, has returned since then and is part of Damage Control and is doing pretty well there. Mia Yim was released after this and then came back as Mia Yim and now is Michin and is in a pretty decent spot on SmackDown. Dana Brooke got released in 2023. Yeah, 2023, and it showed up TNA as Ash by Elegance and is having an okay run there. I'm just not a fan of it. So Tamina is kind of out of the mainstream. She is still there, but I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And then Dakota Kai, the same thing as Kai was saying, is left, came back as Damage Control, and she might become the first ever women's Intercontinental Champion. Chelsea Green's had a pretty good career ever since then. We talked about that main roster thing, but then she went back to the Indies, did stuff in NWA and Impact, has come back to WWE, and is now the first ever women's United States Champion. Is probably having one of the best runs of all the women right now. Charlotte Flair, we kind of talked about the last video. Naomi. Actually, again, I remember last video we talked about Naomi came back. This was another time when Naomi was just off TV for a while and just came back, which is just really funny. So that's actually pretty funny. And then Beth Phoenix, after stayed on NXT for a while with commentary wise, stopped doing commentary, and she's not with WWE anymore. The next time I think we see her in a wrestling capacity is probably going to be with AEW. I think it's a pretty safe bet. And then Toni Storm. Do you want to talk about Toni Storm? Because I know you love.
She's terrible.
Yeah, it's a thing. She did the Timeless Tony gimmick in AEW, and now is doing like the gimmick that she was pretty much doing here, except it's not that gimmick. It's like Timeless Tony playing this gimmick. It's really bad. And then Kelly, still doing the mom thing, and that's good. Just stay away from the wrestling business, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think she said she wants to have like one more run in WWE. I don't think it's going to happen, but do you think it's happening, or do you think it's not going to happen?
It could in the future.
Sarah Logan, has been released and come back, and at the moment she's on maternity leave. I don't know if she ever will come back, but we'll see. There's always a chance. I would like her to come back, though. That'd be cool. And then, do you remember, too, they had that weird thing that happened where she got released, and then, like, she showed up a couple times, like, afterwards type of thing, and then, like, it was just really weird. It was just a pandemic. It was weird. And then Natalya, we talked about the last time. Xia Li's been released recently, and now is in TNA as a different name. I think it's, like, Zen Men, something like that. I don't remember exactly the name, but... and then Zelina Vega we just talked about. Shotzi Blackheart's been around for a while. She's back in... has shortened the name to Shotzi and is doing a pretty decent stuff. She just came back from a torn MCL and ACL injury, one of those two, and is doing the NXT run. And she has like her own YouTube channel with Scarlett now called the Chamber of Horrors and everything like that, where they go and like inspect horror stuff. Hey, you're more than welcome to show up on that channel, Chris, if you want to be horrified for the rest of your life.
I'm good.
And then Santina Morella. We haven't seen Santina, but her brother Santino is the director of authority on Impact Wrestling, TNA, and does stuff there now and everything like that. So, good for her brother. And we haven't seen his sister in a while. What do you think happened to his sister? We haven't seen her. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
And then Shayna Baszler, we kind of talked about her already, is in that shitty faction Pure Fusion Collective that just needs to, like, stop. But it's never going to stop. So they can keep going, Chris. That's Pure Fusion Collective. And yeah, by the way, this is the first match that ended up staying the same. I gave this match 4.25 stars. And I still think it's 4.25 stars. So there you go. And then next, King Corbin got interviewed, and he talks about how Roman Reigns cheated in that Falls Count Anywhere match, and he needed his cousins to help him win. And he says that he's not a true talent type of thing, and he says that he's going to deal with him in the Rumble. This was not a very good interview, and I feel like Corbin was just kind of talking a lot of nonsense. What do you think of this?
Nonsense.
Then we had the next match. It was the SmackDown Women's Championship match. It was SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley versus Lacey Evans. This feud was not good. This was the early stages of Bayley's heel run where it was just very bland and not very good, and they turned Lacey Evans face randomly, and she's just not... I mean, this is really tough for me to talk about now because this was with hindsight. As we know, Lacey Evans isn't very likable, so it's her being a babyface is just never going to click with me, especially with all the stuff that she has, like, said since this show's happened now and everything like that. This feud was really bad going into it. They randomly forced Lacey Evans face, and I think the reason they turned Lacey Evans face is because they needed baby faces for Bayley to wrestle, and you know, they didn't have any because they turned Sasha heel, and they were building that feud up, and then all the main like baby faces for the women's side of things were either in NXT or SmackDown, so they had to turn Lacey Evans face, and she was a really bad baby face, and no one bought this baby face turn too because I'm pretty sure she just turned one day. It was kind of like one of those. This was in that stage of Vince's run where like 1 week someone would just come back and be a baby face. I'm pretty sure this happened like with the Kabuki Warriors and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. He just randomly they switched the alignment of the turns. Like randomly it was the other way around type of thing. It was really stupid. This feud sucked. And it just wasn't good. What do you think of this feud going into it? I thought it was really bad.
Yeah, it was extremely bad. Really, really bad.
And this match wasn't great. Oh, I should mention, by the way, one critique I have of the Women's Rumble is Kevin Dunn's production was really bad for this match. He missed entrances. One thing I'm happy they don't do anymore. Did you remember, like, in Kevin Dunn's run, he would randomly show the crowd reactions for no reason when, like, nothing was happening? He would just cut to it type of thing. I'm glad we don't really see that much anymore. Oh, and be prepared for a bunch of jump cuts in the Women's Rumble, because that happened. This is a pretty bad jump cut. Lacey Evans' daughter was ringside and everything like that, and it was meant to be a big deal. Kevin Dunn jumps the gun, and he cuts to Lacey Evans' daughter. Cole and Graves don't even mention it or anything like that. And then when it shows, like, it was supposed to be a big reveal that she was ringside, but Kevin Dunn jumped the gun and showed her like a daughter way too early and everything like that. Like, oh my gosh, Kevin Dunn's production was really slipping at this time. I think it was always slipping, but I feel like because he was just getting older and doing it for so long, his production for this show was just really terrible. And then this match wasn't great. Bayley dominates the beginning portions of it. Lacey Evans, gets some offense in. She hits some, her maneuvers will look really bad. She hits a dive that completely misses Bayley off the mark. She hits a dive on the outside that misses Bayley completely. And then afterwards, Bayley, she goes to hit some type of dive off the turnbuckles, and Bayley gets the knees up, rolls her up, and uses the tights for leverage. This was really bad. And on the show, on the panel, Christian made the comparison that Lacey Evans is a lot like Kurt Angle, and took to this business like a fish out of water. And it's like, Christian, what have you been watching? I know the talent you've been launching yourself off lately, like the Nick Waynes and the Shayna Waynes of the world. Maybe your knowledge of the business has dipped a little bit, but maybe all your concussions have caught up to you, because that was not the case at all in this match. This match was not good. I gave this match. What did I give it? I gave it a star and a quarter. I think I'm going to stick to that rate. And I originally changed my mind and went 2, but I'm going to change my mind again and go a star and a quarter. This match is terrible. It's not good. What do you think of this?
Not good. Lacey Evans just is trash. Give it like a star.
Afterwards too, Michael Cole and Corey Graves hyped up on commentary that Lacey Evans looked real. Remember Michael Cole, he doesn't say this anymore. He'd be like, "What a game, Lacey Evans! What a game, Roman Reigns!" Remember, he used to say that every match, somebody would have "What
everyone's a game."
Yeah, notice he doesn't say that anymore ever since Vince is starting off the booth type of thing. So, no one's game anymore, I guess. So. Yeah, this match wasn't good. Ever since the career retrospective, we talked about Bayley, but Lacey Evans continued to stay terrible. Do you remember she randomly went heel because she lost karaoke in the pandemic, so she turned heel from that?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
She needed to turn heel.
And then she formed a terrible partnership with Peyton Royce. That was really bad. And then Yeah, then they tried to force her again as a babyface. You know you have to be a really unlikable person when you can't even use, like, your backstory of, like, what you've been through during, like, your parents' past and everything like that, which is pretty drastic. No one still bought the babyface tone, even, like, then. So they had to, like, turn her heel again, and then, like, she was supposed to be, like, Sergeant Slaughter or something, and then, like, she just left the company, and now she's just nothing. She owns a business now, I guess, and she I'm just happy she's out of the wrestling business. We don't need her, and I think she came back once, but I don't want to talk about that. So, what do you think of the career retrospectives of Lacey Evans? I didn't really do it justice. Do you want to try to do it more justice than me? Because it's just
No.
Okay.
Terrible.
Okay.
Fucking. She always sucked. She always will suck. She's a shitty human being. And she's a shitty wrestler.
There you go. Then we had the next match. It was a strap match for the Universal Championship. Universal Champion, The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. What a great feud going into this. Again, this was like the best thing that was going on SmackDown at the time. Doing this, Bray Wyatt changed into The Fiend. And it's a story that Vince didn't really tell, but it's a storyline that, like, the fans kind of told. And I think Vince just kind of... I don't even think Vince knew about it. He was just booking the fucking shows, and that was kind of what was going on. But Bray Wyatt would go after everyone, like, in his past that did him wrong in the original gimmick, which was a pretty cool concept. And Daniel Bryan was the most recent victim. They had a match at Survivor Series that Bryan lost, and that brought back the Yes Movement and everything like that. And The Fiend pulled Bray... I almost said The Fiend pulled Bray Wyatt under the win. That wouldn't make sense.
They're two separate. They're the two separate people.
But yeah, The Fiend pulled Daniel Bryan under the win and gave him a nice little haircut. What a good guy, Daniel Bryan didn't have to pay for a haircut. What a nice man. Daniel Bryan was gone a while, and another big thing that would happen in The Fiend's run is anytime he feuded with anybody and stuff like that, he changed that person. It happened to The Miz before this. He just went back to being a heel. It happened to Finn Balor, because he went to NXT and became like he became the Prince and everything like that. It happened to Seth Rollins because he became the Monday Night Messiah. I'm pretty sure that's it, right? I don't think he feuded with anybody else before this. So Daniel Bryan returned at TLC and beat up the Mr. Rogers version of Bray Wyatt, and Daniel Bryan got sick of The Fiend continuously escaping and disappearing, so he wanted to have a strap match with him. Not the best idea, but it happened. They had a really great strap match. The match starts, and Daniel Bryan tries to get like a lot of offense going. He tries to really take it to The Fiend, but The Fiend immediately lays him out with the powerbomb, and he just destroys Daniel Bryan in this match. He whips him with the strap. He throws him in the post. He uses the strap to choke Daniel Bryan. Eventually, Bryan's able to finally get some offense going. He hits a running knee onto The Fiend, and then Daniel Bryan starts whipping The Fiend with the strap. He throws him into the barricade, hits a running drop kick into the barricade. Eventually, The Fiend throws him into the steps, and this ends up being kind of to The Fiend's undoing because Daniel Bryan's on the other side of the ring post, and he's able to use the strap to pull The Fiend into the ring post and everything like that. And then The Fiend lays out Bryan on the announcer's table, and then I think Daniel Bryan hit like The Fiend with like 7 low blows, like all in a row. It was actually pretty awesome. And he starts waylaying onto The Fiend. He gets a DDT onto the table and just starts whipping him with the strap. He hits a missile drop kick from the second turnbuckle. The Fiend and Daniel Bryan go at it. The Fiend gets Daniel Bryan in the mandible claw, and Bryan's able to turn it into like an arm ball over the ropes, which is pretty cool. And Bryan hits another running knee, but The Fiend kicks out. The Fiend hits the Sister Abigail, which gets a really good near fall on Bryan, and then Bryan's able to lock him into the label lock with the strap around him type of thing, which was awesome. And then eventually it looks like Bryan's going to get this fiery of offense, but all of a sudden The Fiend recovers. They did do a nice camera shot where you didn't really see it happen at first, and then Bryan tries to go through all his mind and just rip the Fiend, but the Fiend's not selling this at this point because he's like got like a new edge, and the Fiend hits the Sister Abigail on Bryan and gets the victory, and the Fiend beats Daniel Bryan in the strap match. This match was great. I gave it 4.25 stars at the time, but I'm gonna up it to 4.5 stars. This was a great match, and this wasn't just one of those matches where Bryan was just hitting moves and stuff. It felt like Bryan was just trying to hit big moves to survive, and it felt like he was the horror movie Bryan was the horror movie. Well, Bray was the horror movie villain, and Bryan was fighting for survival, and eventually the whole movie villain just finally won at the end. And, they did a really great stuff. Bryan and Bray always had great chemistry in the ring together, and this was another example of that. I thought this was great. Afterwards, Bryan has to be helped to the back. It's kind of a shame they didn't really do anything with this, because he kind of goes into that like feud with Drew Gulak afterwards. I kind of wish they would have had Bryan disappear for a while. I mean, they were going to need that anyways, because after this show, Bryan's not really a factor much on television anymore because the pandemic and stuff. And then Bryan could have come back as like a completely, maybe the gimmick that he has now in AEW, where like, he just wants to kick people's heads in and everything like that. That would have been cool. But I thought this was great. This was another great run for the Fiend. And this is the last match that he has before he gets fucked over again. So it's always nice to see that it doesn't happen. This was really great. I probably rate this higher too, because obviously, with what's happened with Bray Wyatt, losing him now, it's always nice to see him wrestling again. So I give this 4.5 stars. What did you think of it? I thought this was awesome.
Awesome. They've always had great chemistry, and this again is no different. It's the Fiend. I would say this is probably his peak right here.
Yes.
And of course, it's against fucking Bryan Danielson. Mr. Chameleon can fucking match up with anyone.
Oh, yes.
So, it's, he's always had really good matches against Bray. And this one was no different. This match was awesome. I give it 4.5 stars.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, too, this match did a lot of good for the Fiend, too, because this match isn't completely 50-50, too. It's kind of like, 60-40. And Bryan getting it's enough. I think this being a strap match too was to the benefit because it got sympathy for Daniel Bryan and everything like that. So
a lot of sympathy.
And again, I just wish they would have done something like post this match, like where Bryan disappeared for a while and came back as like a completely different performer. Because that's the thing that sucks. He's just on SmackDown the next week, not selling any of this stuff, type of thing. So.
Fuck sell.
And he goes.
Don't sell anything.
Yeah. And then, again, this is the last match that the Fiend has before he gets fucked over, because then he gets jobbed out by Goldberg at Super Showdown, which was stupid, and then he has that awesome Firefly Funhouse match with Cena at Mania, and that was probably the last great thing the Fiend did as the Fiend, because then he has that really bad feud with Braun Strowman, that was terrible, and then he has that bad feud with Randy Orton, that was the end of the Fiend, and then Bray got released, he came back, and he didn't really get to have much of a run when he came back, because right when they started kind of doing stuff with his character, he ended up passing away due to his illness and everything like that. Now the Wyatt 6 stuff now is pretty much a tribute to Bray Wyatt now and everything like that. And then Daniel Bryan, this was kind of like his last run really with WWE. He kind of was still there, still a big focus, but then he switched over and joined AEW. And he's had a so-so run in AEW. He's been injured more so in it. And he just ended his full-time run as a wrestler, which I don't know what that means, because AEW only has 2 shows a week, so I don't know what that means. It's a full-time.
I don't either.
But he's also having neck surgery. And I was kind of watching the show, and we've always kind of wondered, what... It seems like in AEW, Bryan just doesn't have that connection to the... He still has the connection, but it just isn't the same as his connection to the fans that he has with the WWE. He has it in AEW, but I don't think the connection in the AEW is the same as WWE. WWE just had that special connection, and he just doesn't have that in AEW. Do you want to expand upon that? Because I feel like you watch his run in WWE, the audience connection just isn't there as much as with AEW. What do you think?
It's it's not quite there. I think partly because he can't use one thing that made him over in the first place. He can't use yes, basically.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that really got him over and continued for him to be over. I still think to this day that it was a huge mistake for him to go to AEW. He went there and started wrestling his indie style again. He had about 6,000 injuries.
Yes.
It's the reason why he's not a full-time wrestler anymore. It's because he fucking... As soon as he got to AEW, he started wrestling his indie style again. And he was injured more than not. So, I never understood... Like, I get like, he wasn't... He felt stale, I guess, in WWE and stagnated, and he wanted to move on. In that WrestleMania match that he had, that triple threat really kind of soured him. But he's no better in AEW.
I agree.
I feel like he's gotten worse.
I think too.
And he doesn't appear.
Also, too, his character.
He hasn't appeared in AEW in forever.
Also, his character lacks direction a lot because sometimes. I don't know if you remember, this was a big rant I had in the Blackpool Combat Club days. You would never know what they would change week to week of what they were face or heel wise. Sometimes they'd be faces and sometimes they'd be heels. There was never a clear direction with
it wasn't.
Daniel Bryan of what he was. So I remember too, I think he turned face randomly to feud with MJF, but then when that feud ended, he like turned heel with the Elite, and then when Punk left, he had to go back to a face, but like Blackpool Combat Club themselves was still heel. So they had to turn Blackpool Combat Club face for no reason. So and also too, it's just I think too, his underdog run just really made him special in WWE. Like, he always felt like, he was fighting, he always had to fight against the odds in WWE, which just made it special, which is why I think this match really works. And then, in AEW, he's just having matches, and they're great matches, but he doesn't have that character that he had in AEW that he has in AEW. He's just kind of showing up and having dream matches type of thing. Wow, what a coincidence. The biggest problem with AEW, Bryan Danielson's run in AEW, is what's the biggest problem with AEW as a whole. He's just showing up and having the dream match and everything like that type of thing. So
that is the problem.
Also, too, his final run was really bad up until the Swerve Strickland thing happened, I guess, and then also too, I remember everyone hyped it up like his big run in AEW was over, like his full-time wrestling career is over, but I feel like I just don't really, I'm not buying it too, because one, he's going to be off TV anyways because of his neck surgery, and I think he'll come back. And again, AEW is 2 days a week. What's the big deal that he's not a full-timer? He could just come back and wrestle 2 days a week. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal that he's not a full-time wrestler. AEW runs 2 shows a week in a pay-per-view, once a month. Okay, isn't that full-time AEW wise then anyway? I don't get it. And then we had the Raw Women's Championship match. It was Becky Lynch defending against Asuka. This was great stuff. And the reason for this match was Asuka was always Becky Lynch's kryptonite. Anytime they got into the ring together, Asuka always had her number, which was a really great story to tell. And it was kind of good they told the story, because this is kind of like when Becky Lynch's title run was becoming a little stale at this time, because she had this title for so long, and she also, she wasn't really changing up her character or anything like that, so this was kind of great. And Asuka and continued to have Becky Lynch's number. They added the nice touch where Becky Lynch refused to have contract negotiations until this match was over and everything like that, which was kind of a little funny type of thing that was part of the story, but I guess it's fine. And they worked a great match right here. They did a lot of the same stuff they did in the Rumble match the year prior, and eventually the finish comes when Becky Lynch, Asuka tries to go for the miss, but Becky Lynch kicks her in the ribs, and Becky Lynch locks her into the disarmor, and Asuka taps out, and Becky Lynch finally gets that win. I thought this was a great decision here. I gave this match 4 stars. I gave it then, and I still think it's that now. I thought this match was great stuff, really great back and forth action. What do you think of this?
Yeah, give it 4 stars. Really, really good match. Yeah, great. Like borderline great.
And we talked about Becky's career retrospective the last time with Asuka.
Nothing's really changed with Asuka. She's recovering from a knee surgery that she had in the springtime.
Yes. And then backstage, the Street Profits are there just hyping up the show. This is kind of when they got their call up, and WWE never do anything with them. They would just have them do these random skits. And this is kind of like when these skits had overstayed their welcome. It was kind of like, okay, this is getting stale now. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I agree.
Then we had the men's Royal Rumble match. The competitors in this match was Monday Night Raw's number 1 was Monday Night Raw's WWE Champion Brock Lesnar. Number 2 was SmackDown's Elias. Number 3 was Monday Night Raw's Eric Rowan. Number 4 was SmackDown's Robert Roode. Number 5 was SmackDown's John Morrison. Number 6 was SmackDown's one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions Kofi Kindstone. Number 7 was Monday Night Raw's Rey Mysterio. Number 8 was SmackDown's the other half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Big E. Number 9 was SmackDown's Cesaro. Number 10 was Monday Night Raw's Shelton Benjamin. Number 11 was SmackDown's Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 12 was unbranded MVP. Number 13 was NXT's new NXT North American Champion Keith Lee. Number 14 was SmackDown's Braun Strowman. Number 15 was your favorite wrestler of all time, Chris, Monday Night Raw's Ricochet. You're not going to like what happens with Ricochet.
Ricochet!
There you go. Number 16 was Monday Night Raw's Drew McIntyre. Number 17 was SmackDown's The Miz. Number 18 was Monday Night Raw's AJ Styles. Number 19 was SmackDown's Dolph Ziggler. Number 20 was Monday Night Raw's Carl Anderson. Number 21 was Hall of Famer Edge. Number 22 was SmackDown's King Corbin.
Cope.
Yeah, good Cope. Number 23 was NXT's Matt Riddle. Number 24 was Monday Night Raw's Luke Gallows. Number 25 was Monday Night Raw's Randy Orton. Number 26 was SmackDown's Roman Reigns. Number 27 was... The rest are just Raw, I'll just say that now. Number 27 was Kevin Owens. Number 28 was Aleister Black. Number 29 was Samoa Joe. And number 30 was Seth Rollins. What a fantastic Rumble this is. I thought you could definitely tell Vince put a lot of effort into this Rumble than the women's. I think it's mainly because Brock was in this match, so he wanted to get creative with it, which is awesome. And the big story of this match was Brock entered number 1, and he wrecked everybody in the Rumble match. From about 1 through 16, this is the Brock Lesnar Royal Rumble.
It was, and people getting pissed off.
I loved it, though. Elias comes out, he makes a concert up for him, and he's making fun of Brock, and he just destroys him and eliminates him. I feel bad for Elias. He put a lot of effort writing those songs, and they would get interrupted every week. I kind of feel bad for him for that. And then it continued that pattern, the rest of them, number 3, Robert Roode, number 5, John Morrison, which I kind of felt bad for John Morrison, because this was his big return to television. They kind of screwed it up, because they gave it away on backstage, and then, he showed up at, backstage on SmackDown, very uneventful, so, John Morrison's return to WWE wasn't a very big success, but this was still awesome. And then we had another first part of the arc of the Brock Lesnar appearances. Kofi Kingston showed up, and this was kind of right after Kofi got squashed by Brock, so this was a chance for him to get revenge. And the next 3, Rey Mysterio and Big E, try to work together to take out Brock, and they do a good job of that. But then eventually, Brock's just able to kind of overcome them and eliminates all of them, which was really cool. And then Cesaro, we got to see Cesaro and Brock Lesnar go at it for a bit. The Shelton Benjamin bit is awesome, because obviously they used to be a tag team together in OVW as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. So they kind of redid that, where it looked like Shelton Benjamin and Brock were going to form an alliance, but Brock just turned on him and laid him out with an F5 and eliminated him. And as this Rumble went on too, Brock just started to show his personality. He started having a lot of fun with it and everything like that. I'm pretty sure...
Especially Keith Lee came out.
Yeah.
Whoa, big boy.
Yeah, he was...
It's one of the funniest things.
Then Nakamura came out. He got owned by Brock. I don't know if you remember. This is kind of like when Nakamura and Sami Zayn had their alliance when Sami Zayn transitioned for a while, into a manager role, type of thing. I think the Artist Collective or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what the stable name, because Cesaro was in it too.
They were.
MVP came out, and Brock Lesnar was just dancing around to MVP's theme song, which is really funny, and he just immediately eliminates MVP, which is kind of even funnier nowadays because he's been doing a lot of bitching nowadays, so it's always fun. 2024 Owen was 2025 Owen. 2024 was loving this.
I forgot what year it was.
Yeah. Hey, it's still early stages. And then the Keith Lee hit happens. And as you said, this is when Brock Lesnar really had fun. He called Keith Lee a big boy. Everybody wanted this to happen, this altercation between Keith Lee, and that was really fun. And then Braun Strowman comes out, and we get kind of like a 3-man men slap and meat match right here. Brock Lesnar kind of, while Keith Lee and Braun Strowman go at it, uses this opportunity to eliminate both Braun Strowman and Keith Lee together. And I like this too because you could tell Brock Lesnar was getting worn down by this point, so that added to the story. And then next is your favorite, Ricochet.
Ricochet. Rick, oh shit.
Ricochet, this is probably the best that he's ever going to do in wrestling, and the best story he's ever going to tell. He had just gotten laid out by a low blow by Brock, and everyone was making fun of him for it, behind the scenes and, on the shows and everything like that. Which, knowing how Ricochet is nowadays, he probably got really offended by that backstage now and everything like that. The fact that people were making fun of him, that he got low blow by Brock. He probably got wicked offended.
It is beefy.
Yeah. I think you want that to happen nowadays, too, just to have that happen. Brock owns him originally, and then the next entrant hits number 16, Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre comes out. This is kind of when Drew McIntyre started his big push at the time. He had just turned babyface. He had made the 3-count gimmick a thing from when he hit the Claymore, and this is the one that Paul Heyman was finally able to get through to Vince to say, hey, we need to push this guy, and Brock and Drew have their face off, and behind Brock's back, Ricochet, your favorite low blows low blows Brock, and this allows Drew McIntyre to hit the Claymore on him and eliminate Brock Lesnar. And this was a huge moment when it happened, an epic mark-out moment, and they really did a good job playing up to this. Before I talk about it, though, what did you think of 1 through 16, the Brock Lesnar Rumble? What did you think of this?
I thought it was really good. It was kind of getting a little frustrating at times because it was just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Then once it got down to Keith Lee and Braun Strowman, Ricochet, it definitely turned into a bit of a Royal Rumble finally.
Yeah.
And then of course Drew hitting him with hitting Brock with the Claymore and eliminating him was was one of the biggest moments of the night. One of the 3 big moments of the night. And it was the Brock part was fun.
It was really fun, and I wouldn't, I feel like I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman also had a hand in booking this Rumble too. I might get that might be wrong, but it would make sense, since he was the head creative of Raw at the time. But this was awesome. And, merely made Brock look strong, and Brock looking this strong and then Drew eliminated him was what made it all that much better. And this is kind of better to watch in hindsight, because what ends up happening with Drew here is essentially what becomes his WrestleMania moments before WrestleMania type of thing. This is essentially Drew's WrestleMania moment for the most part. So, and they played this up for a while, they had Brock out there selling it, and the next couple guys that come out, oh, you love this, Drew just takes Ricochet, hits a tilt-a-whirl, fall-away slam, just to completely eliminate him. I bet 2025 Chris Dodd was loving that. Well, you didn't watch the show back, but
2025 Chris Dodd loved 2020 Ricochet getting eliminated.
But how does that work, though? Because 2020 Ricochet was relatively okay. It's you don't like 2024 Ricochet and 2025 Ricochet. Is 2020 Ricochet cool or no?
2020 Ricochet was cool. 2025 Ricochet is shit.
Okay. And then The Miz comes out, and doing all of this, Drew's just staring a hole in the block Lesnar, and he eliminates The Miz very quickly. So I kind of like this, because Brock was still out there, and then this is kind of like, but Brock kind of goes to the back. And then AJ Styles comes out. This is when it becomes kind of like a Royal Rumble. Then Dolph comes out. They kind of work together against Drew. Carl Anderson comes out. They work together. This is when the OC was in one of their runs. And the OC, I remember I hated that name at the time. I kind of don't really mind it now type of thing, but I hated it at the time because I just did. But 2025 Owen's not as cynical, I guess. So it's 2025 likes the OC name. It's pretty cool. And then we had the next big moment of the night that's kind of ruined now, but it was still a big moment when it happened. I'll let you talk about it because you have we both have two different feelings about this, and this gives me a chance to give my voice a nice little break. Why don't you talk about the big...
No, I'm going to make you fucking talk about it.
Well, yeah, why don't you talk about the nice...
I want your voice to be gone.
Why don't you talk about the nice return that is kind of ruined for kind of both... Well, I feel like we'll always like this return, but there's been certain things around it that makes this return not as great as it was back then. But so are you talking about the big return? I mean, I kind of already did, but talk about it again.
So number 21 was the biggest surprise. Not really, because everyone knew. They did a very awful job of hiding this. But the Rated R Superstar Edge had made his return. He had gotten cleared to compete in around... I think it was November or December.
Well, because he did the thing at SummerSlam where he interrupted Elias and he laid him out with the spear. Yeah. So that was kind of like, ooh, what's going on? Because
that's the first thing I thought was, ooh, okay, he was on the no contact list. And if you watch like Edge's documentary on WWE 24, he talks about like that he felt good after doing that, but that didn't really It didn't mean anything essentially because he wasn't cleared yet.
And as we know now, weirdly enough, he went on Sheamus's, what's the name of Sheamus's YouTube show? The Celtic Workouts.
Yeah.
And he took a bad fall, like, off the bicycle and stuff, but, like, nothing came of it type of thing. Like, he felt fine.
Yeah, he felt fine, didn't feel hurt or anything. So, that kind of got his wheels spinning, and then he started going around to see doctors, and they all cleared him. Except for Dr. Maroon, who's the basically the final boss. If you're cleared by him, you're good to go. If you're not, you got to start all over again. He will not clear. Like if he doesn't clear you, you're basically done. So that was around October, November of 2019. He goes up there, gets cleared by Dr. Maroon. He goes up to headquarters HQ, the old Stanford building, and just basically starts pitching ideas and gear in the month leading up to WrestleMania, to the Royal Rumble. So,
and also don't forget too, by the way, the biggest thing I think that because WWE was worried about this, he was going to go to AEW, I think too, if he couldn't go to WWE at this time. Yep. So. AEW had offered him a contract, but he didn't feel right leaving at that time because they had to kind of stuck by him and through a lot of things in his life. His mom, Judy, had just passed, and his father-in-law had passed like not long after that too. Also, so he kind of lost his mom like in his father-in-law within a span of a couple of months. So he was really appreciative how they stuck by him, and he just didn't want to leave the company at that time. So AEW was on the up and up, but they had just gotten a television deal right around that time. But he just decided to go back to WWE and re-up with them, which in the end made a lot of sense. So he gets Royal Rumble match comes. And they show it on the WWE 24, like he pops up like backstage, and people are fucking shocked to see him. I think like Aleister Black's back there, and a couple others. I
think like Alexa Bliss or something. Like, there's a lot of people back there, and they were all like giving him hugs and like they were really happy to see him. And his music hits. He comes out, and you could just see right away the emotion on his face was Adam Copeland. That wasn't Edge. That was Adam Copeland. And then
wasn't Cope. It wasn't Cope either.
He does his rock star pose, and then he snaps right into Edge mode. And then he hits the ring. He hits AJ with a spear, but AJ didn't sell it right and fucking hurt himself. So that took AJ out for a little bit. He hurt his shoulder on that spear.
Yeah, and he had to be eliminated from the Rumble like early too.
Yeah, because it was a really awkward. It was like a really awkward landing on his shoulder, and he was out for quite a while after that. I don't think it was like a separated shoulder or anything, but he was out for quite a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it at the time, it meant a lot, and it's still one of the best moments that wrestling has had in God's probably since he retired. I would say the first time around.
Yeah, this was huge at the time.
Massive.
Yeah,
he had a. Not only did he come back and look really good, but in this Rumble match, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, because there's a picture by picture of what he looked like in 2010 and like what he looked like in 2020, and it was like leaps bounds. Like he was. Oh yeah. He
was. You could tell because on that I think it's called the Two Mountains. He talked about how he was like 38 years old at the time. So he said he was going to wrestle for 2 more years and then retire. So he was retiring within the next few years anyway. But he went and got a checkup, and they told him, yeah, you can't wrestle anymore.
Right.
I mean, it was like they basically said like you can't even get touched.
Yeah, and I think this was like the Edge up until 2023, and I think we're going to talk about that in a second. Yep. He was having like an all-time like great return, like Shawn Michaels like 2002, 2010 level when he came back and everything like that. That's how really well done his return was. Obviously, there's been like things that's come out, like because obviously he wasn't really putting over a lot of talent, and I feel like we kind of notice that now, obviously, which when we talk about the next bit. But Edge returning was absolutely like wonderful. It's something that we never thought that we would have seen, and I think it opened up the door for a lot of other people to kind of go get checked on by doctors. Like JBL is like starting to kind of do that now. Corey Graves, I think he got cleared not long again after this.
Yeah, he got cleared like years and years ago now.
Yeah,
at least 4 years ago.
So he could do something now if he wants to. Christian, this kind of got Christian back wrestling again and everything like that. Yeah.
They had that nice moment in the 2021 Rumble, and then WWE inexplicably let his fucking contract expire.
Well, not even that. He wasn't under a contract. He was under the Fox contract.
Well, his talent contract had expired before the event.
Yeah. And then Stin started wrestling again after this, the same year actually, in a different world almost. And then, this is one of Ric Flair. Maybe this kind of got Ric Flair thinking he could wrestle again, which wasn't the case at all. So,
no, that was a mistake.
Yeah, but
for the 50th time, and now Ric Flair says he's not going to wrestle ever again. So thank God.
Yeah. So this got a lot of people like talking, and a lot of people got cleared because Edge ended up. Oh, and Paige, that's a big one. Paige came back. Yeah. And she's looked relatively decent, I guess, when she's come back. It's kind of like tough because we haven't really. She hasn't done that much really, but she's looked.
Isn't anything.
Yeah, but so Edge's return, I typically say the career retrospective, but we're on the topic now. Edge's return was one of like the all-time great returns and had like a really good one, like Shawn Michaels level. But there's one thing that's kind of ruined his second run in wrestling that we've talked about off air probably every time we talk to each other in person.
Yes. So Edge may so he came back in 2020. He had a great run in this second run.
Yeah.
It started to really fizzle out at the end. That triple threat match was stupid. It should have been they inexplicably threw Bryan into that. It should have been just Roman and Edge. He had that great feud against Randy Orton where they kind of gave her the stupid wording, the greatest wrestling match ever, and it wasn't. And Edge ended up getting hurt. He tore his bicep and was out for quite a while.
Yeah, over something stupid. Over something stupid too. Like
it was a reshoot because
yeah,
they had done the spot perfectly. It was in the Performance Center, and they would go through and reshoot the. They would do like spots and then like reshoot them and then do them again and intersplice them with the spots that Vince wanted. So it was hell on earth, but it was like the match itself was fine, but Edge did like a spot off like the second rope and like was like almost like a springboard type, and it was executed really well, but Vince didn't like it and wanted them to do it again. And on the reshoot, that's an Edge tore his bicep or tricep. I think it was just tricep I think it was tricep. And so he was out for a while. He came back. He had some good feuds, good matches.
The Seth Rollins one especially, I think is the biggest one.
Yeah,
it's probably the best one.
He also that's where like he gave a shout out to like FTR. That was like the first time they had been mentioned on TV. He called them by their real names.
Oh, that's cool.
They kind of got that shout out when they I forget what he's like. I gotta call Dan and David.
Yeah,
that's Ash Wheeler and Dax Harwood's real names, and make sure that nothing was touched or whatever, because they were already friends at that point. So
and then the Judgment Day feud was okay. I feel like once he got out of
that feud was okay, but he teamed up with a very inexperienced Dominic at that time.
Yeah,
but that Judgment Day feud was like. That he came in, cut his hair, did the whole Judgment Day thing. They kicked him out because they needed a babyface.
Yeah, because Cody got hurt. So they needed
Edge to come in and be like one of the top baby faces.
Yeah.
That really, and I mean, short-head Edge was weird, like to begin with.
Yeah.
Because to me, Edge is long hair. Edge, like that's Edge, and they debuted a kick-ass theme song that they just fucking got rid of last week, annoying as fuck. That's
the Judgment.
Another rant for another day.
Wait, the Judgment Day got rid of the theme.
They got rid of the other side and they use it. They use like a rap song now.
Oh damn, that sucks.
Yeah, because we didn't see them on Netflix, but the week prior they debuted the new one.
Oh, okay.
It's a really good song. It just doesn't fit them.
That's the whole thing I liked about it, though, was like fit in my head like they kayfabe stole his song too. So now that's kind of gone.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's but so he, what was his last? What was his last?
Yeah.
Feud.
Well, his last feud was the Judgment Day stuff with Finn and everything, the Cell match. I liked that stuff. I'll admit it probably went on a little long, but I think also, too, because that's when Edge was kind of moving into the part-time role. In hindsight, maybe he was on the way out, too, so that's why they kept that going for as long as they did, because after that feud, he only shows up, like, a couple more times, and then that's really it.
Handful of time.
So what?
Oh, he has the match with Sheamus?
Yep.
In Toronto for his, I think it's 1,000th WWE match or something like that. I forget what number.
And his last.
And that's what I was thinking of. It wasn't a feud. It was just a match against Sheamus. Two like really good friends having a match against each other. And then his town contract had expired. And he went and signed with AEW. And this is where it starts to go downhill. This is where it gets, in a lot of ways, kind of sad. He didn't die or anything. He didn't die or anything. Edge died. Adam Copeland lived.
Yeah, I will say this. Originally, when he went to AEW, I was excited. I thought, when I did this at the time, I remember I talked about this on Spoke. I wasn't necessarily against him going to AEW because he had done everything. I could kind of understand it in his perspective because he had kind of done everything he could do at WWE. And, you know, there really wasn't much more you could do. He was kind of starting to get stale after WrestleMania 39, but then again, I also wondered into if they were on, now knowing they were probably under like contract negotiations and stuff, so they were his, I think, appearances were more sporadic. And I was excited because I'm like, okay, this is a place he's never done. He's never really been outside the WWE bubble, like, other than when he was, like, Section Hardcastle and all that stuff. So I'm like, maybe this could be something new for him. And then talk about the sadness of it.
So he goes to AEW and becomes his real name. Adam Copeland. He kept Metalingus. He kept the Rated R Superstar because those are things that followed him. The Rated R Superstar was his trademark. So he came into some pretty big fanfare.
Yeah.
On half of the arena because the other half was empty. So he comes in, immediately feuds with Christian, wants to team up with him one last time because his kid said, "Daddy, you should go to AEW and team up with Uncle Jay again." Fucking mistake. Don't listen to your kids. So he goes there and he has a really fucking terrible feud with Christian. And first of all, it's like fucking 20 plus years too late. They're both in their 50s now. Like, I don't understand why fucking they needed to do it. It was very idiotic, very stupid, dumb feud. Wasn't even remotely entertaining. Lots of like stupid shit. And then he wins the TNT title and then loses it, and then wins it back. And he goes, and then he has the cope open, and inexplicably decides to jump off the top of the cage. He had a cage match, and he jumps off the top of the cage and snaps his leg. Why at 50 years old you're jumping off the top of a structure is beyond me. Just moronic. That was one thing that they should have looked at. That Tony said, "You know what? You're 50 years old. You're not jumping off the top of a fucking cage."
And what sucks about this is everyone's, the AEW fans like, well, wait, what about Bronson Reed jumping off the top of the War Games cage and everything like that. You know, they're kind of using that as an example and everything like that.
And yeah, well, because Bronson Reed's also like 33, so he can.
Yeah,
it's a big difference when you're young. When you're young like that, you could do that type of stuff.
He's also done it a lot without fail and everything like that too.
Yes, the one time he does it, and he's out till practically the summer. He'll never do that again, probably. So, learned his lesson one time, never doing it again. Now that I say that, I'll probably do it 7 more times. But so he's this is the another tragic part. So he comes back from his injury, and he comes back with Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler as Rated FTR. And he's now going by the name, the Rated R Superstar, Cope!
Yeah, it's terrible.
What? So, he had talked about this like a couple of years ago, like a year ago, when he was like doing an interview and stuff. He said that, I want to go by Cope because it could be Cope versus Mox. I'm like, oh, what? And he's like, oh, the Rated R Superstar Adam Copeland is too wordy. And then I saw someone say that, yeah, Bret the Hitman Hart's too wordy. We should just call him Hit. like who this is what happens. See, this is what happened. He lost Edge, so he can't use Edge anymore. So now he's been scrambling for another name, and for some reason he thought to shorten his last name and name himself Cope.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what the fuck are you? I was like, this has to be a joke. Because the first time I saw it on Twitter or X, and the first, like, I was like, this has to be a joke. Someone like superimposed this on here over his name, and then I went and I saw like a snippet, and I was like, wait a minute, he actually is Cope now. I was like, what? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This such thing as too much creative control, and I think he has it.
I think what's made this like AEW one tragic is several things. If you look at Edge, like the last in the Sheamus match, and Cope in AEW, he just looks his age now. Like, it seems like, we talked about this, it seems like AEW decreps you, it ages you, because this isn't just like, because it's been a couple years now. Like, I remember there's that segment in December with Christian Cage. He just looked old in that segment even too, and that was the same year. That was 2023 when that segment happened. So he lost his star power. I would say it faded very fast. After like the first week, he went to the mid-card and has not recovered. And then now that he does interviews and stuff, he just kind of comes off, very bitter. And for some reason, he rants about some of the stuff in like the WWE product. He's also this one isn't his fault. He's also been used to wave the banner of AEW ever since that CM Punk Ariel Helwani podcast has come out, type of thing. So that's also damaged him a lot too. And he's also associated with Dax Howard, and I think you and I, he's been put.
Yeah.
I feel like kind of Dax Howard's not someone you want to be associating with in your career at the moment, probably. Because also I think at that same event where he came back, Dax Howard gave a pretty controversial take on the Edge diving off the cage thing, type of thing. So, I would say. I feel like the point is, I think when we go back to this moment, I think we're always going to feel this moment fondly, but his AEW run has kind of ruined this moment a little bit because of how his run in AEW has been now and everything like that. And personally, I think he should have just stayed with WWE. There was still a lot of stuff he probably could have done. If you think about it, if you go through the names, he hadn't even gone through all the names that he could have wrestled. He never wrestled Kevin Owens in WWE. He never wrestled... Logan Paul would have been a nice match. He could have wrestled Roman Reigns with the alignment switch because they didn't really have like much of a match. And obviously, it really sucks now he's not there because John Cena's having his final run, and that would have been awesome if they could have had one final match together. Now
it's just one last run.
Yeah. So, I think too, Edge is just gonna, and what sucks too. I think what sucks is it's just gonna continue to go downhill the more he shows up in AEW now and everything like that too. It seems like like you said, it seems like it gets worse with every AEW appearance that he has and everything like that. But continuing the breakdown of the Royal Rumble match. One thing that sucks out of this is Kevin Dunn missed Edge's entrance originally, so they had to re-upload it to YouTube like a couple days later and everything like that, which sucked. But yeah, continuing with the Rumble match. So Edge's return was awesome. We got a Randy RKO reunion. Randy Orton showed up, and they worked together as a team and everything like that. That was really cool because the next night it set up what was going to happen there when Randy Orton turned on him and everything like that. Seth Rollins came out, and you kind of forget that's, because obviously most of this run happened in the pandemic, but this was the starting stages of the Monday Night Messiah gimmick. I've even forgot him and Murphy had won the Raw tag titles. They had gotten all their group together. It would just change because I'm pretty sure one of the AOP members got injured, and then, the pandemic happened, so, like, I think not much happened with it. Like, I remember Murphy was gone, like, up until, like, a little later on. So, like, most of that one happened. Like, he still had his theme song, like the Burn It Down theme. He didn't get the Messiah gimmick until theme until a little bit into the pandemic run and everything like that. And you get that bulk of the match where a lot, where Seth pretty much takes it over and eliminates a lot of people. And then eventually I do like this, he kind of has like an Avengers moment where like all the faces attack Seth Rollins and eliminate him from the Rumble match. And then it's down to the final three of Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Edge. Roman Reigns eliminates Edge, and then Drew eliminates Roman. And Drew wins the Royal Rumble. This was huge. Drew had done pretty well in WWE, but he needed that moment to finally be treated like a big star, because his heel run had kind of phased out, and they finally made changes to Drew McIntyre, and they were gonna really need Drew McIntyre in a couple months, because they were gonna lose Roman Reigns in a couple months, so they needed a top face for the time being, and they were gonna lose a lot of stars in a couple months. So Drew getting his rise here was absolutely awesome. Winning the Rumble, and again, this ended up being basically his WrestleMania moment until he got it last year, that he ruined because he couldn't stop talking shit to CM Punk, which you don't do. But this was absolutely awesome. This Royal Rumble match is 5 stars, and it was just an absolutely wonderful Royal Rumble match. I think I like that this Rumble has like 3 different stages. Stage 1 is like chapters. Chapter 1's Brock Lesnar. Chapter 2 is the stuff with Edge, and then Chapter 3 is like the stuff with it, Seth Rollins and everything like that. So I think that's really great. And this one was just fantastic. I think everyone that's in this Rumble match is usually given something to do. Not a lot of it's great stuff. Like The Miz doesn't get a lot of great things to do. He gets freaking jobbed out, and Ricochet gets to even have a moment here, which I don't think you like. That you might knock that down a star for Ricochet getting a moment. This Rumble match is fantastic. I give it 5 stars. It was awesome. What do you think of this?
Not even Ricochet and Copium can ruin the fact that this is a 5-star Rumble. At the time, Adam Copeland coming back was a shot in the arm that WWE needed. When people said their favorite wrestler was Edge, I didn't understand why. Because I was always, as well fucking known on this channel. I was a John Cena guy. Forever. And still am and will always be. And I just thought everyone loved John Cena. Apparently that was not the case. But I didn't understand why Edge. I always just thought Edge was like, oh, he's a mid-carder. Like, because I grew up with him being like a tag team specialist and like a mid-card guy. I never really saw Edge as like, oh, this guy's like a fucking Hall of Fame main event level talent. And then when he came back in 2020 from his injury, that's when I was like, okay, I get it now. I get why everyone liked Edge. I'm like, he's really fucking good. Like, I get it. But it's
now you're back to the other state. Now you're back to the Now you're back to the other way.
Now he ruined it. That poor guy.
Poor man. I feel, and poor R-Truth, by the way, too. He never made it to the Rumble. Poor guy. He never. He could have been in it. Poor guy.
That poor lad.
But yeah, this is a 5-star Rumble. Going through some quick career retrospectives, we've done Brock. Elias, got released in 2023, and he's done the indie stuff, but he's kind of out of wrestling for the most part. Do you remember this is Eric Rowan, that phase where he had the cage and he didn't know what was in it, and I don't think Vince did, so it was just
yeah. Was it like a rat or something that was in there?
I think it was a spider. I think, but but it wasn't
stupid.
Yeah, it was not a real spider. I guess it was like a robotic spider. I don't even know. I don't know what was going on there. But Eric Rowan, he got released in 2020, and then he's done some stuff with AEW to tribute Brody and stuff, and now he's back as an ultimate tribute to Bray Wyatt. The best segment I think he's done ever was probably that segment that was taped a while ago where he sat down and talked about Bray and Luke Harper being gone. I think that was special. Robert Roode, has done wrestling. I think he could come back, but he's a top agent backstage. I think when Michael Hayes went on his absence, he was the one taking the Bloodline segments, which is pretty cool for him. And we've seen him now.
Yeah, I just don't think that he's not like. I think he's like unofficially retired.
Yeah. And we've seen him now a few times. Like when Jay Cargill got attacked, he was like one of the first people like shown.
Pull aparts and stuff, and
yeah.
But his like right now, like he's almost 50 years old, so his best asset is his mind.
Yeah.
And he's been doing phenomenal backstage in WWE as like a producer.
And then Kofi Kindstone, you're not really a fan of him right now, or Xavier Woods, you
No, fuck them.
Rey Mysterio, we've done career retrospective before. I think you still feel bad for Ray, obviously because his son this is what he was trying to get his son into wrestling. I think I think Ray's regretting that decision right now. So
yeah, he should have. Fucking ungrateful fucking piece of shit son that he has.
And then Big E, is just kind of an ambassador right now. He might come back. I think you feel bad for Big E right now that he doesn't have any. Well, he has. I was about to say he doesn't have any friends, but he has friends. Everyone's sticking up for him in the locker room and everything like that. So he's got a lot of friends right now. So. That's the thing too. Kofi and Woods didn't they get kicked out of the locker room recently? They can't go in the locker rooms anymore. So
yeah, good.
And then Cesaro, we talked about last time. Go back to WWE, buddy. You need to go back. And then Shelton Benjamin, went to AEW with MVP as the Hurt Syndicate and stuff like that. I guess Shelton's having a pretty good run in AEW. He's having probably everyone's saying the best one of his career. I'll just take their word for it, but I don't know. I'm not watching it. So, and then Shinsuke Nakamura we talked about him last time. He's being kind of mean right now. He's being a good artist and he's having a really good run, but he's just being kind of mean. Do I talk about MVP? Because I know you really get to talk about what MVP's been doing lately. I think you want to rant about this. You want to talk about that?
MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a loser. He can't put his foot in his mouth fast enough. And then backtrack. It's like you're probably not going to understand this, but some people might. It's like Gerard Mayo for the Patriots. He was recently the head coach of the New England Patriots. He was just fired. Every single Sunday after games, he would say things blaming the players and the coaching staff, but not really mentioning it. He'll blame a couple of coaches, and then he'll walk it back on Monday in a press conference. That's basically what MVP was doing. He would fucking say shit online, and then in the coming days be like, I didn't say that. I never said that. Or be like, oh, I never called Triple H a racist. I'm like, you fucking did. He said it 3 times that Triple H is a racist.
And I think he said it
and then walked it back all 3 times.
I think he said it so often too that it makes people kind of backtrack. People questioning if he is or not, and then it's kind of getting Triple H a lot better because he hasn't, because everyone says because he hasn't been booking the African American performers on the PLEs. I think they threw a stat that the 3 male ones haven't shown up on 3 PLEs in a row. It got to a point where I think Triple H had to finally book one, and you had to answer a question at the press conference saying talent is talent, and then you got shit for that too, type of thing. So
talent is talent. I get it. I get they want to see people that are like them at the top. And I totally understand that. I totally get it. But if they suck, they suck. Talent is talent, regardless of what your skin color is or what your ethnicity is. If you're fucking Kofi Kingston, prime example. He's always been on TV. He's getting New Day, him and Woods are getting pushed like a top heel tag team right now.
You don't like it right now because of what they did to Big E, but it's happening.
Yeah, they're assholes, but I'm supposed to not like them.
Uh-oh.
I'm supposed to not like them. They're doing stuff to make me angry because they're not faces, they're heels. I'm not supposed to like heels. I'm supposed to boo them, and I'm supposed to call them assholes.
Just like Dom.
Yeah. That piece of shit.
You're never gonna give Dom the flowers that he deserves, even if
he doesn't deserve any flowers. He deserves fucking No, he does deserve flowers that are wilted and fucking dried up. Fuck that guy.
Who do you hate more, Tony? Who do you
To
hate?
his own father.
Who do you? Who do you?
He came out of that man's nutsack.
Who do you hate more, Dom or Tony?
And carried him for 9 months. That sweet angel of a mother of his.
Who do you hate more, Dom or Tony Khan?
Oh, tough question.
You gotta pick one. We're gonna sit here until you pick one too.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're not.
Tony,
Ooh.
fuck. Just fuck Tony Khan no matter what.
What can Dom? So what does Tony Khan do that makes you hate him more than Dom?
Tony Khan's just the fucking asshole.
Yeah, but you think Dom is too.
He's more of an asshole than Dominic. I didn't even think that was physically possible.
What about Dom or the New Day right now? Or is it still early?
Oh, fuck Dom. Fuck Dom. Fuck him all the time. All day, every day. Fuck him.
Not in the way that you not in the way that not the way that people probably think too. So
No, just if he wants it that way, fine. I'm not going to judge.
But anyhow, yeah, continue talking about MVP. This guy.
Is a fucking he just wants to be relevant, which he's irrelevant. You put the IR in front of relevant, you get irrelevant because that's what he is. He needed to latch on to 2 more irrelevant wrestlers and to bring back an irrelevant gimmick that sucks. Not good.
And then Keith Lee, we've done that before, but he's still recovering from his injury. He hasn't come back yet, and I don't know what's going on with him.
At this point, I don't think he's ever coming back.
To any wrestling or just AEW?
I think he had been dealing with an illness, like a really severe illness, like last January, I think it was. And that's why he gained all that weight. So it's, I just don't, like, there's nothing on him.
Yeah.
You can't, you look up his name and it's old shit. So at this point, I just don't know if he's ever coming back.
And then Braun Strowman, we did the last video. You get to have 2-1 Ricochet, baby. You've been...
Ricochet, baby. Here we go. Number 1, fuck him. And not like, ooh, he's a heel. No, fuck him. Trevor Mann is a legitimate piece of shit. There is nothing more than I hate than a prima donna crybaby on social media, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. That's what he is. He literally turned an entire fan base against him. I didn't think that was humanly possible, but he fucking somehow managed to do it.
He did it
by being a crybaby. And not like, he's a heel, so he's doing this. No, he's doing what? He's a babyface. No one liked him. That's the reason why and it's not like, he's getting heat. That's good. No, it's go away heat because no one wants him. No one likes him. Legitimately, nobody likes him. He decided he wanted to be a flippy boy in AEW, which is I like flippy boys. Flippy matches are great. They add you need to be able to do more than just flippy matches.
Javon Evans would like to talk to you, Ricochet.
Also, too, the number one thing is you need to be able to talk in a fucking microphone, which he is incapable of doing. I don't know how the fuck he even made it past promo class in WWE. I have no idea how we even made it past training when he was training to become a professional wrestler. Because the one thing you need to do is be able to talk, and he can't do that. So it's, I just don't like him. It's just I think he left WWE under like really bad circumstances.
Yes, he did.
I think he kind of burnt that bridge a little bit, just by his comments that he made, that he was making online, just attacking fans for literally no reason. Yeah, fans were going at him, but at the same time, I said the same thing about Samantha. There comes a time where you just have to ignore it. Just block them and move on. The more you talk to them, the more you give them that ammunition, they're gonna take it. They're gonna take advantage of it, and they're gonna keep attacking you. And you're gonna keep trying to defend yourself. And guess what? It makes you look worse. That's why WWE has a course on that.
Yep. And
They teach you how to do that.
And then even though we've done Drew McIntyre before, I guess the biggest thing I'll say out of this show is, after this, he was going to have to be he became very valuable to WWE. He really became the face of the WWE during the pandemic and really carried WWE through the pandemic. And ironically enough, it's what makes his heel run now so great is the fact that he had to go through that type of thing. And also CM Punk being around helps that too, because he just can't he just needs to make peace with CM Punk, and he just never will. Drew McIntyre, has been great for WWE ever since this Rumble. This Rumble really catapulted him into main event level. Obviously, he didn't become the star now that he was. I think the pandemic, this would have been the first star WWE would have made for a while had the pandemic not happened. I think if the pandemic didn't happen, Drew McIntyre would be a bigger star. Like, he's a pretty big star now, but the star level that the star power that he has now, he probably would have had then, but obviously the pandemic affected that, I think. But overall, how did you think Drew McIntyre did post this show?
Oh, great. He has been unbelievable. He's been an unbelievable asset. I think it was last year. He signed like a long-term contract with WWE. I think it was like five years. And he's been an asset to the company. It's so funny if you look at him pre-return in WWE when he was like 2014, 2013, maybe 20. I think he got released in 2015 when he was a 3MB. And you look at that Drew McIntyre, and you look at that Drew McIntyre, and you can't, it's so unbelievable. You look at him in 2025, and look how far he's come.
Yeah.
If you would have said in 2014 or 2015, whenever he got released, that Drew McIntyre would get released from WWE and then come back to WWE, and by 2025 look like this fucking jacked Scotsman who could literally beat the shit out of anyone, they would laugh in your face. And not on top of that, be a multiple time WWE and NXT champion.
Mm-hmm.
And just be a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
People would laugh in your face if you said that.
CM Punk's actually probably still laughing in your face right now.
He probably is. But it's so funny looking back at that version of Drew McIntyre and this. It's like it's two different people.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look like the same Drew McIntyre.
And then The Miz, is still very good. He's doing weird stuff with the Final Testament. That doesn't sound very good out of context, but just watch the show and you understand.
He's doing some weird stuff.
He
was some pretty freaky shit with them.
Yep. I mean, he kind of is. So, AJ Styles.
Whatever he's into.
Yeah. AJ Styles, we talked about Dolph Ziggler is having a really good run in TNA as Nick Nemeth is the TNA World Champion. It's really good. He's had a career renaissance ever since he joined TNA and got that company going.
I think it's so funny with this TNA run how he said he was not going to sign a contract with the company, and he was just going to tour around the between New Japan and the Indies and stuff. And it just almost immediately signs a contract with TNA.
I think it benefited him, though. I feel like if he could showcase his talents in TNA and stuff. So
it's the best spot for him.
Kyle Anderson, we talked about last time. We just talked about Edge for like a good 40 minutes. King Corbin we just talked about. Matt Riddle, I forgot Matt Riddle's big thing in the Rumble. He's there and not there because he was kind of pissing people off because he kept wanting to fight Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and stuff.
Dude, that dude's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, now he's released and he's shown up in TNA recently, but he's it's to the point where Tony Khan doesn't even want to sign him. That's how bad it is for him. So
and if he's not reliable.
Yeah,
He is a excellent in-ring talent. I'm not denying his in-ring skills. He is amazing in the ring. It's just you get two different Matt Riddles.
yes,
You get the really good wrestler Matt Riddle that if it was just in-ring, he'd be signed anywhere. He wouldn't even be released from WWE if it was just in-ring stuff. But if it was Matt Riddle outside the ring, that Matt Riddle comes with it. The drugs, the alcohol, the partying, all that shit comes with it. And it's not a good look when you're out there partying with people that you shouldn't be partying with. Literally, he impregnated a fucking porn star. It's just all that shit that comes with Matt Riddle is the reason why WWE was like, you know what? Yeah, we're done here. He still thinks there's a chance that he can come back. I give it like a 10% chance that happens. He's just too much of a headache.
right.
He'll get suspended again for wellnessy policy. It's just bound to happen again.
And then Luke Gallows, we did. Randy Orton, he had just come back last year, and he's having a really good run back. He had a really weird one in 2024 because a lot of his feuds didn't really culminate, and a lot of the feuds just kind of didn't happen. But he's probably getting the best crowd reactions he's gotten since 2015.
100%.
So
100%. He's like, he comes out, place goes crazy.
yeah,
You know what it was too? Is because he was gone for so long, and people thought he was legitimately retired because of the back surgery that he had. That people missed him so much that it was more of like a, okay, we can't let this guy turn heel type of thing.
he might never turn heel now. He might still, but like I don't know. He's so popular.
He wants to, and I know deep down inside, Randy really wants to be a heel. You can see he's really, really enjoying this run as a babyface.
Yeah. And then Kevin Owens we did last time. Aleister Black. This is kind of
Fascinating story with him.
huh?
Fascinating story with him.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So, Tommy End on the Indies. If you didn't know that by now, that's insane. But he came to WWE in the late 2010s, like 2017, I think, or 2016. It was somewhere in there. It was right. He was in the era with Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era, as a top babyface, world champion. The guy was the best. And then he got called up and was used fairly well. But near the end, the run started to become. He was like helping Rey Mysterio and Dom.
Yeah.
In a feud against Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy.
No, just Murphy. Well, he was not. Just Murphy then.
Okay, Buddy Matthews.
Okay, we'll allow that.
And then he departed. Like in 2021, I think.
Do you remember
2020?
They were changing?
2020.
They were changing his character, and he like came back, and then like he was fired like right after that, like immediately, like
Because he had the eye gimmick going on.
yeah.
Everyone thought that he died when he got thrown off the side of the old Titan Towers.
That's right.
They thought he got, so they called the police.
But he just
the behind the scenes of that 2020 Money in the Bank is like insane.
we have to do that as a retro someday.
So many people that called the police,
And also
because they because they thought something was happening at the Titan Tower.
And then I remember WWE had to negate it the next night, and they just say they fell onto a smaller roof type of thing.
Yeah, because they had to do a drone shot of like pulled back, showing that they fell into a crash pad, so that they died. So his run concluded around 2021, 2022. I think it was 2021. He went to AEW as Malachi Black, and he still sold the eye gimmick from his time in WWE, which was nice continuity, for it to continue it. He's been extremely unhappy for the last 2 years in AEW, at least. He came out, I think it was late last year or early, springtime last year, and said that he has a year left on his contract or something like that, basically debunking, because there was something that came out the fall of 2023 that he was requesting his release and that he was unhappy, which was true. Do I think he requested it? No. But he came out in I think it was the spring of 2024, and basically talked about his a little bit about his contract status, not too much of it, but kept it very vague. And then he just recently, mid to fall of last year, it was reported that his contract would be up in January of 2025. And that's in early 2025. And now it's coming up. It's coming up in either February or March, and in these next 2 months. And from what I've read, he will not be making any more appearances in AEW because they know he's gone. And he's done. And there is it's not a rumor, it's very widespread, that he is going to be returning to WWE. That's where he wants to be. Triple H was in charge of his first run in NXT, and his wife, Zelina Vega, is in WWE, and that's where he just wants to be. It also makes it easier on them as a couple to be in the same company with each other. So I firmly believe that within the next month or two, I do not think it's going to be a Royal Rumble return for him. I think it's more either Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania.
I agree.
Return, because once they said it was last week, I think last week or the week before, I read it's February or March. I'm that takes the Rumble out then, because if it's February, it'd be later in February. I think he'd be back by the Raw after, or the SmackDown after WrestleMania.
And then
I would bet. If he's in the Rumble, then his contract was up in January.
Yeah. But yeah, Aleister Black's an interesting name. Samoa Joe, we've done career retrospectives on him before, but he was the world champion last year. He lost it, and then he kind of did some weird stuff with Jericho, because everything that Jericho does in AEW is just stupid and weird now. And
he's also filming Twisted Metal season 2, so he's been gone for quite a while. That's why he dropped the belt.
Well, it could be that, or it could be because Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing too, though. So, could be both. Well,
he was away filming Twisted Metal, so.
And then Seth Rollins and his whole group. We've done a career retrospective on Seth Rollins before, but now he's back and he's doing some really wonderful stuff. Murphy fucked up and panicked and re-signed with AEW.
Literally what happened. Would have been back in WWE by now.
Yeah,
because his contract was up over the summer last year in 2024, and he panicked and signed. It's not we're not saying that as he panicked and signed. No, he literally, there were reports of that he panicked and signed a contract extension.
Yeah.
because they cornered.
Yeah.
So he was dead set. He didn't want to be there anymore. He was dead set,
especially with
on going back to WWE and being with with his now wife Rhea Ripley.
especially too with what the biggest storyline he could have been a part of had he. So I think AEW feel like, oh, because Rhea was gonna need an ally to face Storm and Liv, and
he was teasing it online, and then on social media, and it was like within like days, it was like he resigned. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Why'd you panic?"
Yeah.
That's immediately my thought process was, "Oh, he panicked and resigned."
Yeah. And then AOP, got released. They were gonna do their own wrestling promotion, but it never happened.
People,
Huh?
they scammed people.
Yeah. And then
Big time.
And then they returned last year and are doing really weird. They're also doing weird stuff with Karrion Kross, and not that.
Oh no, they're all in it. It's a one big weird thing.
They're just doing weird stuff. Are you doing weird stuff with them? I just want to make sure you're not.
No. No, I am not doing anything weird with them.
Hey, it doesn't have to be what you're thinking. It could be other weird stuff, like
No, I don't do weird stuff.
No
weird stuff for me. I'm weird stuffless.
And then Seth Rollins we just did. I think, and then Murphy we just did. AOP we just did. I think that's everyone career retrospective wise. We're all done with that, so we can just do a nice. I feel like we spent like more time talking about the career retrospectives than the actual show itself, but whatever. We haven't.
They just got through like the women. I'm like, oh fuck, we have to do the men's now too.
I think too, because a lot of the men's stuff, you had a lot to say, like MVP and Ricochet and like Aleister Black and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Yeah. Again, I feel like this is just gonna be the first couple retros coming back. We're gonna be doing this. I think once we kind of like get our footing, we won't be doing this as much.
Everyone will be by then. Everyone will be we'll catch up everyone on their career perspective by then.
But yeah, let's do a nice little letter grade for this show. I'm gonna go first this time, just because I think I have you go first. Huh?
Of course.
Well, I have you go first. I let you go first every time. I think it's my turn to go first when it comes to grading the shows.
Of course. The guest can't go first.
Well, how about this? We say a letter grades at the same time. I'll do it.
Simultaneous.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm go first.
I'm gonna go A. I think this show is really fantastic. I think both Rumbles are fantastic. I think the Universal title match and the Falls Count Anywhere match is fantastic. I like the U.S. title match. R-Truth's cameo was awesome. Not cameo on the show, not his cameo like Paige. That could be awesome too, though, if he has one. And then Sheamus versus Shorty G was good, just not what was going on with Shorty G around that time. And the only real bad match on the show was like Bayley versus Lacey Evans. That was just but I'll just pretend that didn't happen. I'm gonna go A. It's not quite an A plus. I think there's also some missteps, like in the maybe the women's rumble, like the Naomi thing really wasn't very good, and then the Charlotte winning the rumble shouldn't have happened. But overall, what do you think of what would you grade this Royal Rumble and give it a nice little letter grade type of thing?
We're on the same page. I'm giving it an A. The men's Rumble was great. The women's Rumble was nearly great too. The Falls Count Anywhere match actually was really, really good. And it actually, the fall did count anywhere.
It did.
They didn't do the thing that was typical of WWE, but they have a Falls Count Anywhere match, and the match ends in the ring. That I hate those, but that was like true to the anywhere you can pin someone match. And they chose to pin him outside the ring, which is the point of a Falls Count Anywhere.
They pinned him on
the ring.
They pinned him on like the dugout or the safe zone or whatever it was. Like that was cool.
Dugout. It was on top of the dugout. Like I said, the women's match, the women's Royal match was excellent. Bayley versus Lacey Evans is fucking trash salad.
What's a trash salad?
It's trash. You put on your plate and you eat it.
What makes it salad?
It just is. It's liquidy.
But what's in the? Do you just put like lettuce in it just so you could say it's
trash that's on your plate and it's super liquidy from all the liquids that are in there. And that's the fucking sandwich wrestling that mixes with the trash.
That's not good.
It's fucking disgusting. There's rotten fucking food in there.
I feel like you eat trash. I feel like that's like a guilty pleasure of yours. You're just eating trash salad all the time.
All the time. The Fiend. I almost said the Fiend versus Bray Wyatt match. That's not even close to what that was.
Just like just like earlier when I said the Fiend pulled Bray Wyatt under the win.
The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan was an excellent match. Again, great chemistry. Becky versus Asuka, really good, and Drew winning it, and getting that huge pyro display. Drew earned that big time, and he was he was really a pillar for that pandemic era. The top babyface, the fucking cash cow. He was a money making machine for them, even without a crowd.
Right.
So
and they really connected too. This is
big time with the audience.
Yeah, this is kind of like one that Paul Heyman was finally able to get through to like Vince, and I feel like I remember online everyone was like speculating like when is this gonna get stale, and it never. I don't think it got stale until the Randy feud probably started, and then like they had him lose I think they had him lose the title like once, and then win it back for no reason, and then like he lost it again like really stupid.
It was right around the ambulance match.
Yeah, the one that I'll never forgive WWE for. It ended up kind of working out because of his heel gimmick now. He should have made it to 31. Not 31. That was years ago. He should have made it to 37. Either as the champion or won the title, since that was like the night with the crowd. I know they were doing stuff with Bobby Lashley at the time, but that's like where you call an audible and say like, no, he's winning, but he didn't get this moment last year. He's getting it this year.
Him also losing too at like in Tampa the following year at WrestleMania was inexcusable.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
But yeah, as I talked about, one final thing is this show. I talked about this in the 2017 retro with the Rumble. Ends up not mattering on, but that was also because the old man got impatient, wanted to, But again, the pandemic hit, so they had to change everything for WrestleMania. We weren't even sure if we were going to get a WrestleMania, but then they decided to do it in an empty arena. Because also all the other big sporting events got canceled, like the NBA Finals got canceled. The
NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL is over by then. Those the three of the big four all canceled.
Yeah.
The NHL didn't start back up until like the summer.
Right.
Same thing with baseball. MLB started back up in the summer, and they had like a 62 game season. Or a 60 or 62 game season. And the NBA didn't start back up until that roughly the same time as the NHL did. I thought that Vince would have just canceled it and took it off entirely. And just waited. He didn't. And to Vince and to the old man's credit, it actually would kind of save the promotion. And, the pandemic era wasn't great, but at the same time, it still gave us wrestling.
Yeah, it was something.
And it was the only thing, because they were playing reruns of Red Sox games and old-ass games during the time slot that the Red Sox would be playing at. Or, it was, I could only watch so much of that before I was like, okay, I've already seen all these games because I grew up watching them. So for Vince to keep pushing ahead and trudging along and going ahead and, doing it in front of a very minimal crowd with, PC recruits and NXT wrestlers, and then going into the Thunderdome era where it was more like of a stadium feel as opposed to a warehouse. I do give WWE a ton of credit for that. They kept it going, and it wasn't the best, but in wrestling in general, like AEW thrived during the pandemic era.
Yeah,
WWE did. Impact did. They made the switch yet to TNA, but TNA Impact did. They all and NWA fucking nearly died,
I mean,
but
essentially,
they
I would
all-
say, even though I would essentially it did kill it though. Like the
it essentially did.
um,
But it gave us something to watch every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday.
yes,
So when I didn't have those other sports to go to, at least I was like, oh, at least I have wrestling. Like wrestling didn't shut down.
yeah,
We still got Mania. We still got Monday Night Raw. We still got NXT. We still got Dynamite. We still got Impact. We still got.
yeah. We had all these things.
So we still had we still had them as wrestling fans. I could have asked for in a more difficult time to be like to get something to distract me from literally people dropping dead by the day.
Yeah. And actually, the weird thing is, without the pandemic, we don't get the tribal chief weirdly enough because Roman Reigns doesn't go. I don't think Roman Reigns takes that time off and contemplates retirement and basically says like, "I'm coming back as a tribal chief." Without the pandemic, the tribal chief doesn't happen, which is just the weirdest thing to think about it.
We don't get one of the top 3 gimmicks in wrestling history if Roman doesn't step away and almost retire.
Yep.
That's the biggest what if, in my opinion.
Yep.
And at least one of the top 5 biggest what ifs in wrestling. What if there wasn't a pandemic? Because we would never have the tribal chief, and we would never have, this almost anti-hero in a way.
Yeah.
Like Roman has been for a number of years now. And we would have never had those amazing, NOI matches where Jay faced Roman at Hell in a Cell, where Roman was just talking so much shit. It made the match feel so real.
Right.
Like it was a tough time, and a lot of people checked out.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, too.
Hell in a Cell was awesome between Jay and Roman.
Weirdly enough, too, without the pandemic, other things don't have. Undertaker doesn't get, I don't think, the good send-off that he got in his retirement match with that, because that Boneyard match allowed him to finally get that send-off that he didn't get. I mean, I know he got that weird thing at Survivor Series, but the last match of Taker's, I don't think it's as great as it is if it had like the AJ match probably would. Yeah. Go ahead.
That last match was awesome.
Yeah. So there's just so many things that came out of the pandemic type of thing. So, so many bad things, but wrestling benefited from it. Especially, again, too, because like I said, the tribal chief gimmick, too, is what caused wrestling to boom nowadays. And if the pandemic doesn't happen, who knows if it would have boomed. The final boss never becomes a thing. That's also a big thing, too.
Yep. Again, you don't get the bloodline. You don't get the final boss.
Yeah.
You don't even know what the fuck you get.
Yeah.
You might still have the big dog.
Yeah. So, just really interesting. But yeah, that's the end of this retro. This went a little long because, we just started talking. We went on time restraints this time around. But, yeah, let's do some nice little plugs and promotion. Do you want to plug or promote anything?
Yeah, so we were in a bit of a retroing mood. So we retroed Royal Rumble like we mentioned earlier in this video a bunch of times. We did Royal Rumble 2017. We recorded that yesterday afternoon. And a Let's Play we did on Wednesday. That is coming out relatively soon. Channel update video, that's out now. And the first aftershock of the new year with the return of Stephen Coakley. He was able to join us for that day. So watch that. Check those 2 videos out. If you want to know what we're doing, watch the channel update video. So far, I said it at the very beginning, and I'll say it again. We've somehow, fucking somehow, managed to go along with the schedule that we set already. We said on Monday we were going to do the channel update video. Monday we did the channel update video. Tuesday we were going to review the 3-hour SmackDown and the Netflix Raw premiere. We did that on Tuesday. On Wednesday we said we were going to do a Let's Play of Showcase Mode, and guess what? We fucking did the Let's Play of Showcase Mode on Wednesday. We said we were going to take Thursday off because we couldn't fit into our schedules, and we did exactly that. And then yesterday, we recorded Royal Rumble 2017, and we fucking did it. And then Saturday, which is today, we said we were going to do the Royal Rumble 2020, which we're doing right now. Wow. And then tomorrow, Steve and Owen are going to be reviewing the Mr. McMahon documentary. And that is legitimately happening. So we lived up to everything in week one.
Not yet. Steve and I still have to sit it down and hit the record button type of thing.
But hey, it's the only day Steve could do it practically. So
yeah.
So everything in week one so far has happened.
Yes.
Shocking.
Yeah, and then we have some more stuff you can look forward to in like week 2. We're gonna on Monday. Chris and I are gonna do Aftershock cover New Year's Evil and the second 3-hour SmackDown, and I'm gonna cover main event real quick. And Chris isn't gonna say a word about main event, not one word. Probably just like that it happened, and then that's it.
Yep.
And then at some point, James is gonna come back and pick a retro. He's trying to think about what he wants to do. I was generous since it's his first video on the channel since 2023. That I would let him pick any show he wants. So we'll see what he picks. Might be really good, might be really bad, might be in the middle. But we'll see. And then next we're not gonna do much next week because my own Talkinator channel, we're gonna start doing I'm gonna start doing videos on there again. I'm going to my cousin AJ and I are gonna review episodes 3 and 4 of 4 and 5 of Rick and Morty of season 1, so we're going to be doing that, and then we're going to do the first 3 episodes of season 2 of Yellow Jackets, because we're going to try to see if we can get that. Our big goal is to try to finish season 2 before season 3 comes out, so that way we can review that week to week, which probably
that comes out in like 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, so we have to get going. We didn't do anything this week, so our goal is to do the first 3 episodes. Type of thing, because we needed a break from Yellow Jackets, because we did it. That's all we did in October and like November time. So we took like a pretty long break from it. And also I went on trips and stuff. So like we're gonna get that done, and then we're gonna get other stuff done. So just check out the Owner Talkinator channel. Chris isn't gonna get the focus that he deserves on this channel because the Owner Talkinator channel is coming back with a vengeance. So Chris is gonna be focused.
Yeah, well, I'm not available next week, but the following week we'll be doing GM mode. That is coming back, not this upcoming Wednesday, but a week from Wednesday.
And that week we'll do the retros. We'll start the John Cena retros. The prototypes run the entire thing. His debut on the main roster, his first SmackDown, and if we could squeeze it in, a retro pick of yours of John Cena. We don't. Probably, I think we said Royal Rumble 2013, or because that's we'll get our Royal Rumble fix in. So
yeah,
because you didn't really have a lot of options with the Rumble, because John Cena. I think we've done every retro mainly where John Cena's been in, so that's the only one we haven't done.
Really the only one.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. And since this is being recorded in the past, we will talk to you guys in the future.